A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
This I believe. Jake Zeitlin is a dealer in rare books and art. He is a publisher, lecturer, and author of articles on the history of science. He is a former president of the American Antiquarian Booksellers Association of Southern California. He has written 2 volumes of verse entitled For Whispers and Chants and More Whispers and Chants. Here now is Jake Zeitlin.
What I believe is not a matter of high-flown language. It is an operational problem related to how I try to live with my family, my friends, and my society. I believe that I must govern my life by reason, and I have the wish, which precedes the faith, that reason shall govern other men. I join Jefferson in the belief that tyranny over the minds and lives of men is evil, and I try to avoid imposing my will or philosophy on others. I believe in discipline, but only the fruitful discipline that is self-imposed. Some poets and philosophers have argued that man and his planet are doomed. I do not accept this as a condition of how I should live. If I were sure the world would end in 10 days from Friday, I would start to build a house or write a poem. I believe that I must accept my share of responsibility for what happens to me, including my accidents and mistakes. I believe in human dignity, and that dignity is worth keeping for myself so much that I will not impose indignities on others. Fear is my direst enemy, and next to fear, pride, which is the other face of vanity and the twin of folly. I remember the old man of my boyhood in Texas who said once, "Boys, they can kill us, but they can't eat us." I do not believe in returning the insults of others in kind. They cannot demean me, but I can demean myself. Therefore, I will not be governed by those who would deprive me of my dignity by threats, insults, or flattery. I believe that a good laugh does more good than a long face. Laughter is something I've had to learn from my good Dutch wife, whose ancestors have lived happily under gray skies for many years. It is easier for me to forgive a gay rogue than a serious fool. My occupation as a bookseller is an expression of my beliefs. My days and nights are spent with books and bookish people. Whatever brings knowledge to men, whatever raises their minds and emotions, whatever preserves the products of their imagination and their history, has value to me. The written and printed word survives persecution, book burning, censorship, and fashions. When I sell a man a good book, I am the happy transmitter of a precious thing, and I feel I have justly earned my profit. I believe in the scientific attitude above the unscientific, but I am not of the faith that science will save us. Science can free men from the physical hardships of nature, but only a profound respect for the dignity of all humanity can free us from the misery of man. Lastly, I believe that my wife, my children, and my fellow workers are my truest judges. I cannot gain credit from them for what I am not. What I believe will have to stand the test of day-by-day living. They will know, and I hope, tell me truthfully.
That was Jake Zeitlin, a bookseller of Los Angeles, who believes he should not blame luck or the malice of other men for what happens in his life.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer. Happy New Year, Year, Casey. Happy New Year, Ethelbert.
Same to you, Marvin.
Hey, you know this 1948 is going to be a great year?
Why so?
Why, don't you know? It's leap year.
And just what can leap year mean to you?
Why, I'm surprised at you, Ethelbert. Don't you know that means an extra Thursday?
So what?
So what? That extra Thursday gives me an extra chance to say that Anchor Hocking is the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Hot New Year's Party. Nine on the morning of New Year's Day. And to some people, that hour on that day can be very bleak and dismal. Ethelbert, the head bartender of the Blue Note Cafe, is obviously not one of those unfortunates, for we find him in the morning.
Oh, what a beautiful thing. Hi, Walter.
Yeah,
Bring up 2 more bottles of aspirin. They're going to be our best sellers today.
Okay.
Oh, what a beautiful... Well, look who's here. Happy New Year, Casey. And same to you, Miss Williams. What's the matter with you two?
Ask Walter to bring us a couple of cups of coffee, pal.
Strong and black.
Uh-oh.
And slip me an aspirin tablet.
Make that a double order.
Oh. Hey, Walter, draw 2.
Coming up. What's Herman Chittison doing here? Practicing at this hour in the morning?
He couldn't get home on account of the snow. He slept here all night.
Oh.
Here's some special headache medicine for you to stay out all night.
We haven't been stay out all night.
I know. Like good, sensible folks, you left the party early, just before daylight. And then you got all of an hour's sleep before you had to come to work on the 8 a.m. shift.
He's a wise guy, Annie.
Yeah.
You should have been like me. I wasn't on duty last night, but did I spend my leisure time in idle revelry? I did not. At 12 o'clock, my sister Edna and me wished one another a happy new year over a glass of good, healthful milk. Then I retired and enjoyed a fine, refreshing sleep. So, on this beautiful morning, you find me full of vim, vigor, and vitamins. Have another aspirin on the house.
Shall I kill this guy quickly, Annie? Listen, vim, vigor, and vitamins. The reason Miss Williams and I feel beat up is that ever since a few minutes after we reported for work this morning, we've been inhaling smoke.
Smoke?
There was another warehouse fire this morning near Chatham Circle.
That's the only New Year's party we've attended, and it was a red-hot one, too.
Bad fire, huh?
Yeah, plenty bad.
Oh, here's Walter with our
Oh,
coffee.
thanks, Walter. Happy New Year. Boys, and welcome, too.
Thanks, Walter.
Okay.
Your papers kind of hinted that them warehouse fires lately have been arson jobs, Miss Williams.
Oh, we're morally certain of it, Ethelbert. And that Jake Schultz is the man behind them.
He and his mob make a deal with the owners of them places to split the fire insurance, huh?
That's right. That's the racket.
Skinny Jake Schultz is a pretty smart cookie, I hear. Neither the cops or the fire inspectors has ever got anything on him.
Yeah, well, if he's behind the torch job we just covered, he isn't so smart. And this one let somebody in for a hot seat rap.
What do you mean?
Well, the fire was set at night, and there was a human being in the building, an old watchman. That means arson in the first degree. The watchman got out all right, but a fireman was killed by falling timbers. And when death is caused through commission of first-degree arson, it becomes first-degree murder.
And a reliable witness says that he saw 3 men run out of the warehouse a few minutes before the fire was discovered. He's given the police a first-class description of them.
Was one of them Schultz?
No, of course not. Dick doesn't do any firebug stuff himself. If one of those 3 guys is caught and sings, it's going to be too bad for his boss man. Annie, how about some more coffee?
No, we don't have time, Casey.
That's
We've
right.
got to get out to Barstow College.
Well, there's no hurry about that.
Yes, there is. city desk wants the dope on Professor Wendell right away.
Who's Professor Wendell and what's he doing?
Oh, he's a teacher at Barstow College. He went for a walk last night and he hasn't come back.
Now, the professor who shares an apartment with Wendell just reported his disappearance to the Missing Persons Bureau.
Oh, he thinks the guy has met with foul play?
That's right. Yeah. Well, if we must, Danny. Come on, let's get started at Professor Gerber's place.
But this Professor Gerber's the one who reported the mysterious vanishing of this Professor Wendell.
That's right. After we waste our time with him, Wendell will undoubtedly show up with a perfectly good reason for staying out all night.
Well, I'm perfectly willing to waste time on such cases today. I'd like to start the new year safely and sanely.
Me too, Annie, me too. To establish a precedent for 1948, no jams and no trouble, nothing but peace, sweetness, and light.
Instead of just a hope, why don't you two make that a New Year's resolution?
Well, that's a good idea, pal.
Excellent. We here highly resolve
That for the coming year,
and starting now,
no jams,
no trouble,
nothing but peace, sweetness, and light.
Professor Wendell and I have shared this apartment for over 5 years, Miss Williams, ever since he lost his wife. I know him, and I'm certain he wouldn't stay out all night without notifying me if he was able to do so.
Oh, when did you see him last, Professor Gerber?
He attended a New Year's party at the Teachers' Club, a most decorous affair, I assure you. Shortly after toasting the arrival of the New Year with a glass of sherry, he left saying he was going to take a bus to Chatham Circle.
Chatham Circle?
He liked to wander around there.
That's a tough neighborhood.
I know it, Mr. Casey, and I have repeatedly warned Professor Wendell to keep out of such neighborhoods, especially after dark. But to him, they were most interesting because of the criminal element he found there.
He was interested in the criminal element?
Very much so. Frankly, instead of the brilliant authority on ancient civilizations which Professor Wendell has been for many years, I am certain that he would rather have been a private detective.
An amateur Sherlock Holmes.
He more particularly admired a fictional character called Dr. Thorndyke.
Casey, if he was snooping around Chatham Circle early this morning, he may have seen something he wasn't supposed to see.
Yeah, that warehouse fire was started early this morning, Annie.
A warehouse fire?
Look, will you give us a description of your friend, Professor Gerber?
Clarence Wendell is a small man, about 5 feet 3, I should say, and he weighs not more than 130 pounds. He has light blue eyes, thin gray hair, and wears gold-rimmed spectacles. Last night he wore a dark blue overcoat, black hat.
Casey.
Professor, did you give that description to the cops when you reported him missing?
Oh, of course. I gave them a photograph of Clarence.
And it didn't mean anything to them?
Mean anything?
Well, it exactly fits the witness description of one of 3 men who ran out of the Chatham Circle warehouse early this morning, just before it caught on fire.
I don't understand.
Well, the Missing Persons Bureau men who talked to Professor Gerber wouldn't necessarily know about that arson business, Annie.
Oh, no, that's right. It's being handled by the homicide squad.
Will you please explain?
Now, there's more important things to do first, Professor, if you don't mind. Where's your phone? I want to call Captain Logan of Homicide and get him to check with Missing Persons right away.
That's all you're going to do, Casey. Just phone. Remember our New Year's resolution.
Casey, I got hold of that warehouse witness right after you phoned me. When he looked at the photograph Missing Persons had of Professor Wendell, he identified it immediately.
Wendell was the little guy you saw coming out of the warehouse, Logan, right?
Yeah, between the 2 other men. He hasn't been able to identify the others from pictures in our criminal
And
file.
if the witness saw Wendell between the other guys?
Yeah. Now he recalls that both had a grip on the little man's arms.
Well, when Professor Wendell was playing detective last night, he accidentally stumbled onto the arsonists while they were setting the fire. And they kidnapped him to keep him quiet.
That's the way it looks, Miss Williams. Which doesn't help us find Wendell or the firebug.
Well, like the fire inspectors, you think that Jake Schultz mob is behind it?
Sure, but suspicion and proof are very different things. We haven't a single lead to work on.
Professor Wendell's a definitely...
He's a definite complication.
Huh?
If 2 of Schultz's torches put the snatch on him this morning because he caught him setting a fire, they probably bumped him off by now.
Oh. Logan, I don't think Professor Wendell has been bumped off.
Why?
Casey, the gang won't dare let him live if he saw what we think he did.
Oh, they'll give him the works eventually, Annie. But Jake Schultz is going to do a whole lot of thinking before he okays a murder that would hit the front pages and stay there. Logan, Jake's in the fire business, but he does his best to avoid strong heat.
Yeah. I'll have Skinny Jake and his mob brought in. We'll force information out of him.
No, you won't force anything out of Jake or his mob. That's been tried before.
Do you know of anything else we can try?
I can try something.
You?
Yeah.
What?
I'll have to keep to myself. There can't be any cops in the picture, Logan.
Meaning you know some crook who might be persuaded to steal?
Meaning you ask no questions and I answer none, now or later.
Okay. Help me find Professor Wendell alive, and you can write your own ticket.
Attaboy, Logan. Thank you. I'll get started right away. Now, stick around your office here, and I'll phone you after I make my contact.
I'll be near the phone.
So long.
Oh, I'm going with you. See you later, Captain.
Okay, Miss Williams. And carry your luckiest horseshoe, Casey.
Yeah, I guess I'll need it, pal.
Oh, what are you going to do, Casey?
Annie, I'm going to leave you as soon as we reach the street door.
Not unless you tell me what this is all about.
Look, kid, I can't tell anyone.
Well, then I'll trail you.
But if you do, you may wreck the one chance of finding Professor Wendell alive.
Okay. Well, just tell me one thing, off the record. Where are you going?
Completely off the record, Annie. Nick Morrow's tavern.
Oh, the Schultz mob hangs out at Nick Morrow's. Jake Schultz owns the place.
Yeah?
Casey, you'll be sticking your neck out down there. Quite a few of the mob know you. Schultz knows you.
I'll be okay, Annie.
Well, maybe. Resolutions are so easily broken, Casey, we should only have hoped for a safe and sane 1948.
Today, a lot of you probably met jadeite dinnerware for the first time, because jadeite is the perfect solution to the problem raised by an unusually large number of guests. Jadeite cups and saucers, jadeite dessert plates and salad plates, jadeite dinner plates, soup plates, vegetable bowls, and platters are as lovely as Chinese porcelain. They're as heat-proof as the Fire King oven glass you use for baking, yet they're so inexpensive that you can buy all the extra pieces you need for entertaining without making a dent in your budget. For example, jadeite cups and saucers cost only 15 cents for the 2 pieces, and you can buy a complete 35-piece dinner service for 6 for less than $5. Now, you'll find jadeite dinnerware at chain stores, hardware stores, department stores, and all other stores selling chinaware and glass. Ask for jadeite by name. Now it's spelled Jadeite. Jadeite, newest triumph of anchor hocking. The most famous name in glass.
No, Red Monahan ain't in the back room, Casey. He ain't been in the joint at all today.
Well, I'll stick around, Nick. You'll probably be in later. Give me a beer, will you?
Okay.
The bar do a big New Year's business last night, Nick?
I can't complain. You still running with the cops, Casey?
Why, Nick, I don't know what you mean. I'm a newspaper guy.
Sure, I know. Here's your beer.
Thanks, Nick.
What do you want to see Red Monahan about?
If it's any of your business, Nick, I want to thank him for the Christmas card he sent me.
You've been waiting here over an hour for me, Casey?
That's okay, Red. That's okay.
Oh, it ain't okay. You're one guy I wouldn't keep waiting for no reason.
Well, let's sit down here. Over the corner table there, we can talk privately.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Nick, we're going to sit down. Bring me and my pal Casey a drink. Okay, Red. Come on, Casey. It's good to see you. Here, take a load off your face. Now, what's on your mind?
I'm going to ask a favor of you, Red.
Favor?
Yeah.
I owe you a debt, fella. One I can't ever pay. My only kid would be dead if it wasn't for you. I'll never forget how you pulled her out of the river when she was drowning.
Here's your drinks.
Oh, thanks, Nick.
That's all, Nick, thanks.
Tell me, what can I do for you, Casey?
And I'll give it to you quick and straight, Red. I want Professor Wendell.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you do. I know how close you are to Schultz. Nick, I give him a word. That the cops don't know and won't know that I'm talking to you. All I want is that little professor, and I want him alive.
I ain't got the slightest idea what you're driving at, pal. I swear I ain't.
Say you owe me a debt, Red. Under ordinary circumstances, that's a debt that only a heel would try to collect. But under these circumstances, I asked Wendell's life in exchange for your kid.
I can't give it to you. Because he's been killed? No, he ain't been killed. I tell you, I don't know anything about him.
Can't lie to me, Red. Look, you're a crook, but you're not a murderer. If you don't tell me where to find Professor Wendell, you'll be committing murder right now, just as surely as though you held a gun to the guy's
I
head.
ain't even seen the guy, Casey. I won't see him.
You know what I mean. Keep your nose clean, fella.
I ain't no squeal. I don't rat.
You're ratting on a debt. You owe me a life.
Okay, Casey, I'm coming clean with you. But I had no part in anything that happened this morning.
Where is the professor?
Being kept in an old house out in Bristol Road. While Schultz makes up his mind when and how to bump him over.
Where on Bristol Road?
East of Old Turnpike. Third farmhouse on the right-hand side.
Third farmhouse on the right,
Yeah, now get out of here, Casey. It's curtain for me if the mob finds out that I told
Nobody will ever find it out from me, Red. Thanks a million and so on.
So,
What's the matter?
So, Jake. Just came out of the back room with two guys in the mob.
Hello, Red.
Hi, Jake. Hi, Maury. That's Vic, Sam. Yeah, hi.
Casey. I haven't seen you for a long time.
Well, I haven't been around your way, Schultz.
Nick phoned me a while ago that you were waiting here for our pal Red. Knowing how he feels about you on account of his kid, I decided to come over.
You, been the back way?
Uh-huh. I've been sitting in the back room, listening through the wall.
Listening? You heard?
Yeah, plenty. Walk into that back room, both of you. Your hands in sight. Get going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a car in the alley, and you two dopes are getting into it.
What are you going to do to it, Jake?
Yes, can't you, Red?
Yeah. And I ain't going to tell you. That goes for me, too, Red. You can please mugged up.
Don't shoot, guys. It might bring the cops.
Hey, this Casey's getting my gas, though.
No, he isn't.
You got him with your blackjack.
Yeah, Casey's on the picture now, Red.
I got right on the control seat. What's happened anyway?
I'm doing just that.
Now they're both out cold.
Yeah, but not cold enough. You and Murray, put him in the car, Sam, and we'll all go for a ride. That's a good spot, Sam. Stop the car.
Okay, boss.
Now, Red, this is the end of the ride for you and Casey.
Hey, they can't hear you, Jake.
Huh?
When you sock the back of Nick's joint, you've done an A1 job.
Still out, eh?
And how?
All right, pull him out of the car and roll him into the ditch here.
Yeah. Give me your hand, Sam.
Hey, Maury. Come on.
All right. What? Got him? Yeah, got him. Pull him back. Yeah. All right.
All right, now get back in the driver's seat, Sam. You, Murray, give me a slug through the head.
Me?
Yes, you heard me.
Hey, you're afraid of killing, ain't you, Jake?
Oh, I'm not afraid of it. I've just been smart enough to keep myself and you guys clear of it. Now we've got no choice.
But you want someone else to do it.
Well, do it if you haven't got the guts. Get back in the car.
Yeah, that suits me fine. Hey, where you getting into?
I'll shoot from here. Sam, be ready to step on the gas when I do. This isn't a private road.
I'll be ready. I got the busting gear and my foot on the clutch.
Let them guys in the ditch have it, Jake.
All right, I'm letting them have it.
Hey, a car's coming, boss. From behind us.
I see it. Get away, Sam.
We only got one guy, Jake.
I can't do any more shooting now. Get away from that car behind us, Sam. Get away. Well, you certainly had that lucky horseshoe with you, Casey. We found Red Monahan lying beside you in the ditch with a bullet through his chest. You only had an egg-sized lump on the back of your head.
Oh, Casey didn't get off so easy, Captain Logan. He was unconscious for almost 2 hours after he was brought to this hospital.
Well, the doc says he's all right now, Miss Williams.
Yeah, it's all right, honey. I'm okay.
I've been so worried.
They killed poor Red.
No, he's going to pull through. Doc didn't get him in a vital spot.
Oh, I'm glad of that. I'm glad. No, Red's more than a half-right guy, much more. But you want to know what happened?
Take it easy, pal. You were delirious for a while after they brought you here, and you did a lot of talking.
He kept saying that Red Monahan had told you that Professor Wendell was being held prisoner in a house on Bristol Road.
The old turnpike, third farmhouse on the right.
I said all that when I was out.
Over and over.
Well, then you went to Bristol Road and found the professor.
And our guys went there, pal, but too late.
Schultz and the men with him evidently knew they hadn't made it.
They lost no time in taking Professor Wendell away. We found the house empty. Haven't any idea where they've taken him.
Well, you found a possible lead in that Bristol Road farmhouse, Captain. Go ahead, showcase it.
Lead?
That thing's no lead, Miss Williams. It merely proves that Professor Wendell was in the house.
What'd you find, Logan?
He found a belt.
A belt?
With Professor Wendell's initials on the buckle.
Now, take a look, pal. Miss Williams insists that these cuts in the edges of the belt mean something.
Well, they're fresh cuts, Casey. See?
Yeah. When we found the belt in a room where Wendell was probably held prisoner, we figured that those cuts might be some sort of a tip-off about where he'd been taken from there. It hasn't worked out that way.
Funny cuts, aren't they? Some straight, some slanting, and irregularly spaced.
Wendell knew that an ordinary written message wouldn't help it. The men guarding him would have found it and destroyed it. I'm sure these cuts are a message in code.
Our cipher expert at headquarters didn't recognize it as any code.
Well, your chief cipher experts were taking New Year's Day off, Captain. The men on duty are apprentices.
Yeah.
Does that mean anything to you, Casey?
No, not a thing.
It makes it unanimous. They're Greek as far as all of us are concerned.
Greek? Annie, wait a minute. Professor Goebel told us that Wendell was an authority on ancient civilizations. Have you shown this belt to Gerber or whatever his name is, Logan?
No, but I phoned him.
All right, we're going to show it to him right now.
Casey! Casey, you can't get out of bed.
I'm out. Beat it, Annie. Come on, let me get dressed. I want to hear what Professor Gerber says when he sees this cut-up belt.
All right, I'm going.
You're right, Mr. Casey. The belt conveys a message.
It does, Professor Gerber?
Yes, in the oldest secret codes that history records. The ancient Spartans used it to convey secret military information. It is called citadel. Professor Wendell hoped you'd bring this to me, Captain Logan.
He did, huh?
He must have. He knew I'd be able to read it.
Why are you wrapping that belt around your arm?
So that I may be able to decipher its markings, Miss Williams. You see, to write a citadel message, the ancients wrapped a strip of papyrus, long and narrow, like this belt, around a staff of predetermined circumference. Spirally, with the edge of each spiral joining letters another. Then on the joining edges, they wrote the secret information they wished to impart. When the strip was unwound from the staff, nothing but apparently idle markings were visible on its edges. Now, the belt is completely wound about my arm. See? This message is safe?
No, not to me. All I see is that the edges of the cut meet.
But the cuts form letters, Captain.
Greek letters.
They're Greek, Logan. Ann knows she's been to college.
Well, what do they say?
In rough translation, they are taking me to Diana's house.
Diana's house?
Diana was the Roman name for the Greek goddess Artemis.
Say, I'm not a shark on the classics, but I get it.
So do I, Logan.
Well, I don't.
Neither do I.
Professor Gerber, Annie, the name of Skinny Jake Schultz's best gal friend is Diana. And to get away from the classics entirely, it's Diana McGillicuddy.
I never thought Schultz would take Wendell to such an obvious hideout, Casey.
Neither did I, Logan, which means Schultz has been smarter than we are. Well, all right, let's go.
All set, Captain Logan. We have the joint surrounded.
Men are ready to break in from all sides, Sergeant.
As soon as they hear your whistle, sir.
I'll hear that as soon as I get to the front door. Now, you stay there, Casey.
Oh, no. I got a little personal matter to settle with Skinny Jake Schultz. I got a hunch he's in Diana's house.
You should still be in the hospital, you Sam.
All right, but I'm not. Okay, blow your whistle, pal.
I haven't got time to argue with you.
This is it, guys. You're coming in from all sides.
Pick him up. That means you, Schultz.
Oh, no, you're not going to take me.
You're wrong, Jake.
Oh, Casey.
I owed him that KO, Logan. And I owe these other two mugs something, too.
No.
We've given up.
Now, lay off, Casey.
Let me go, Logan. Let me go.
Cut it. This is a police job. You can take the pictures, but you can't make them.
Well, all right, Logan. But I want good shots. With Professor Wendell in them.
Where is Wendell, you mug?
He ain't been hurt. He's down in the cellar.
Sergeant, bring him up.
I'll get my camera set.
You can't take pictures of the professor for the newspaper.
Hey, not for decent newspapers.
Why not, you mutts?
Oh, on account of...
Because, some way, the professor lost the belt that kept his pants
handsome.
Yeah.
And then some way he lost his pants.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, tonight we're nearing the end of the holiday season, and to those of you who are exhausted, here's a suggestion. A good hot cup of coffee which you can prepare in an instant, without fuss, without work, and without waiting even a minute. Now, I'm talking about soluble coffee, the amazing scientific discovery which makes really delicious coffee available at a moment's notice. Now, all you need is a cup, a spoon, and a glass jar. The sanitary, convenient Anchor glass jar in which most of the better packers of soluble coffee bring you their products. The Anchor glass jar opens quickly and simply. There's no trouble in measuring, no waste from spilling, and even more important, glass jars protect the flavor and freshness of soluble coffee against moisture long after they're open. You'll be delighted by the delicious soluble coffees now on the market, particularly those that come to you in convenient Anchor glass containers sealed with Anchor caps. Both products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Them pictures you took of Professor Wendell after he was rescued was very different, Casey. The first time I ever saw pictures of a college professor wrapped in a blanket. He looked just like an Indian.
Professor Wendell didn't like to have him taken that way, Ethelbert, even though Casey was responsible for his rescue. He was kind of burned up.
Yeah. He wasn't as burned up as Jake Schultz and his hired firebugs are going to be.
No, they're facing murder and kidnapping charges. And with plenty of evidence to back them up.
As the result of Casey busting some nice New Year's resolutions, Miss Williams.
Yeah. A safe and sane 1948.
You started well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Let's enlarge the idea. And no kidding.
You got something there, Ethelbert. All right, all together.
Happy New Year to everyone. Excuse me.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
This I believe. Some people are born fighters. James B. Carey is one of the nation's youngest labor leaders. At the age of 40, he is president of the International Union of Electrical, Radio, and Machine Workers, as well as National Secretary-Treasurer of the CIO. Jim Carey's fight has been for the working man, but in that struggle, he has evolved a creed that could fit any responsible citizen.
Perhaps more than anything else in the world, I believe in liberty. Liberty for myself, liberty for my fellow men. I cannot forget the legend engraved on the base of the Statue of Liberty on Bedloe's Island in New York Harbor. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. That is the voice of America. As one small part of it, one tiny decibel in its sound, I, as a free individual of America, believe in it. It makes no boast of noble ancestry. On the contrary, it admits honestly that each of us in this country, with a possible and qualified exception of our native Indians, is a displaced person. In a particular kind of way, the Indian was our first displaced person. If you and I did not come from abroad ourselves, our forefathers did. The scourge that drove them was economic, political, or religious oppression. Oppression has always strewn the shores of life with wretched human refuse. We who today are the proud people of a proud country are what might be called the reclaimed refuse of other lands. The fact that the flotsam and the jetsam, the persecuted and the pursued of all these other lands, the fact that they came here and for the most part successfully started life anew, this renews my faith in the resilience of the human individual and the dignity of man. There are those who say we should be content with the material benefits we have accrued among ourselves. I cannot accept that for myself. A laboring man needs bread and butter and cash to pay the rent, but he would be a poor individual indeed if he were not able to furnish the vestibule of his mind and his soul with spiritual embellishments beyond the price of a union contract. I mean by this that I believe it is important for a man to discover, whether he is an electrical worker or an executive, that he is an individual with his own resources and the sense of the dignity of his own person and that of other men. We are separate. We are collective. Man can be strong alone, but not indomitable in isolation. He has to belong to something, to realize that he is not created separately or apart from the rest of mankind, whether he is an American or a Mohammedan. I am stirred by the abundance of the fields, the forests, the streams, and the natural resources they hold. But do these things make me important? Have we wrought the miracle of America because of these riches we hold? I say no. Our strength, and I can say my strength too, because I am a part of this whole, lies in the fundamental belief in the validity of human rights. And I believe that a man holds these rights in proper esteem is greater whether he is recognized or not. As an individual, I must face the future with honesty and faith in the good things that have made us mighty. I must have confidence in myself, in others, in all men of goodwill everywhere, for freedom is the child of truth and confidence.
That was James B. Carey, a native of Philadelphia, and now one of the top national executives of the Congress of Industrial Organizations. He believes that neither individuals nor nations can survive without an enduring appreciation of human liberties and the determination to protect them. Crime does not pay.
Nice going, Annie. Very nice. You're terrific.
It's easy with a rifle, Frank. Here, watch. Anyhow, tin cans on a fence don't move.
Moving targets, huh, Annie?
Yeah.
All right, now look what I rigged up yesterday.
What?
You see, here, look. You pull the rope here.
Yeah.
And way off there, a can swings like a pendulum.
Hey, that's better. Okay, let's see. There's nothing to it.
Your folks must have named you for Annie Oakley.
Like I said, Frankie, with a rifle, it's a cinch. Watch me with a pistol now. Okay. Start the can swinging.
Yeah, check.
Here I go. 1 and 2 and... How am I doing, boy?
Baby, you are a genius with a gun. Another couple of weeks and we'll be going places.
Weeks? Well, what's the matter with right now? If I can hit tin cans at this distance, a guard at a bank ought to be easy as the side of a barn.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear Two Gun Annie, starring Joan Loring. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Joan Loring as Ann Armistead in Two Gun Annie. It was strange somehow, at least to those who knew her. Ann was a small girl, light brown hair, nice features, a pretty girl. More, Ann had every advantage of a decent upbringing and a nice home.
Her father, Martin Armistead, widowed when Anne was quite young, was a school teacher. Respectability was the keynote of his life and of Anne's. All of which made it seem hardly within the realm of possibility that her father should have trouble with Anne. Still, the trouble came to the point where the father faced his daughter in the living room and spoke to her in no uncertain terms.
It's beyond my comprehension, Anne. I know what you've been up to, but I can't believe it.
What do you know I've been up to, Dad?
You were involved with the hot rods on the road Saturday night. You were at the roadside restaurant until after 2 in the morning.
So what? What if I was? And how do you know this anyway? Did you see me?
One question at a time, Anne. I know because Joe Barlow saw you from his prowl car and came to me about it.
Joe Barlow should mind his own business.
It is his business, Anne. He's a policeman. I never thought you would be a policeman's business, Anne.
So we were speeding. We weren't risking anybody's neck but our own. There wasn't another car on the road.
Stop it, Anne. You're a senior at high school. You know better. Even if you haven't any sense of responsibility, you ought to know
I don't
better
want any sense of responsibility. I want to have some fun.
Do you call it having fun when you put me to shame before the whole town?
Let the town mind its own business.
Perhaps when a teacher can't control his own child, it is the town's business. It may follow from that he can't control other people's children, even in the classroom.
Oh, cut it out, Dad. You can't get around me that way, and you know it.
What do I have to do with you, Anne? Lock you in your room?
Try it and see what happens. I'll be 18 in a month. You'll lose me as an income tax deduction man.
Anne, I order you to stop your present behavior.
Save it, Dad. You're just talking.
Oh, am I? Well, then you listen, young lady. I've done my best for you since your mother died. You've never wanted for anything. You've had plenty of freedom. Maybe I should have seen to it that you were taught more self-control. I don't know. But I'll tell you this.
Oh.
I know you're a leader among the crowd that drives these jalopies and raises General Ned around town. And if you don't quit them now, I'll turn you over to Joe Barlow myself the day you're 18.
All finished, Dad?
In more ways than one.
Okay. Then I'm going out. Got a date with Frankie.
I warn you,
Save
Anne.
it, Dad. You said your piece, now I'll say mine. Before I give you or anybody a chance to turn me in, I'll leave this one-horse town forever. Take it or leave it, Dad. I'm sick of it, Frankie. I just won't take any more. I won't.
Well, what do you think? You think I like this town? Or what I'm doing, Annie Pie? Jerking sodas for a bunch of kids in jeans? Great for excitement, I don't think.
What brought you here in the first place, then?
The railroad. This was as far from hometown as my dough would take me.
Well, you've been making money. Why do you stick?
On account of a little babe with light brown hair who was afraid of nothing. Not even of me.
Afraid of you, Frankie? You're the only man in town.
You can say that again.
Hey, how fast did we go last night?
Last night I went 65. Now, what'll you bet I can get her up to 70?
Go on, try it. You think she'll hold together?
I tightened the bailing wire this morning. Ready now? Hold on, baby. Here we go.
Wow. Please, keep her going.
Down to the floor.
Frankie, this is great. It's the fastest I've ever gone.
Get your head out the window.
Oh, Frankie.
How about that, huh?
Oh, this is great.
Oh, shut the radiator. Couldn't take it.
But the needle went to 72. It
72,
was wonderful,
huh?
right? Yeah, it was just wonderful. Boy, when we roll like that, it's out of this world.
Well, you sure like speed, don't you, Annie Pie?
I like anything that'll get me out of this jumping far, far away. Oh, Frankie, I'm so bored. I'm so darn bored. Except when we do things like that.
Now, honey, take it easy, huh? Now, just settle down for a minute, because I want to talk to you.
Now you sound like my father.
I don't feel like your father.
You don't act like it. Oh, Frankie.
Do you mean it, baby, about getting out of this town?
Like I never meant anything in my whole life. I want to get away. Get to a big city, maybe. Get my hands on some dough, real money.
How's your patience, Anne?
Patience? What for?
Bowie, we might have to take more of this before we could really get away.
Hey, you sound like you had a plan.
I have. Now listen, I could go back home.
Yeah.
Tell the family I came back because I'm married and broke. They'd give me the money to send for you. That'd be the first step.
Yeah?
After that, we could go on and we could plan. We could make real plans. You and me together, Annie Pie. We could go places.
All right, Frankie. I'll be 18 next month. I'll be on my own. Send for me then, Frankie. And I'll take the first train going your way.
Terrific.
I feel good. I'm here.
What about your old man?
Oh, I had it out with him. Told him I was going bye-bye. He didn't say much. Just looked sad around the edges. Hey, I'm free, Frankie. Where do we go from here?
Oh, we go to my folks' place. For a while, anyway. Hey. Here, put this on.
A wedding ring?
Yeah, check. I told him you're my wife. Next couple of days, if we have time, we can drive over to a justice and make it legal, huh?
Thanks.
Now, come on, Annie Pie. The jalape's waiting. Time's a wasting. We got things to do, you and me.
Watch this, Frankie. See if I'm a good student when you're the teacher.
Uh-huh. Hey, nice going, Annie. Very nice. You're terrific.
It's easy with a rifle, Frank. Watch. Anyhow, tin cans on a fence don't move.
Moving targets, Annie. All right. Now, look what I rigged up yesterday.
Yeah?
You see here, look. You pull her up here, see?
Yeah.
And way off there, see, a can swings like a pendulum.
Hey, that's better. Okay. Let's see. There's nothing to it.
Sister, your folks must have named you for Annie Oakley.
Like I said, Frankie, with a rifle, it's a cinch. Okay, watch me with a pistol now. Okay. Start the can swing.
Yeah, check.
Here I go.
Huh?
1, 2, and... How am I doing,
Oh, you're
boy?
a genius with a gun, baby. Another couple of weeks and we'll be going places.
Weeks? Well, what's the matter with right now? If I can hit tin cans at this distance, a guard at a bank ought to be as easy as the sight of the barn.
Why, Anne, whatever. Where are you two going this time of morning?
We're going hunting, Mom. Deer season opens today.
Well, the slacks are all right, Anne, but... Well, I must say you look like a boy with that baseball cap and all.
That's the idea, Mom.
Now, why would a young man want his wife to look like a boy?
Well, fellas might kid me too much. You know, who takes his wife along hunting?
You do, darling.
Don't I, though?
Both of you be careful. More people get killed in accidents. Here, Anne. Wear this.
Your red scarf? But, Ma,
then nobody will mistake you for an animal. There. Red goes well with your coloring.
Let's go, Annie Pie.
No breakfast?
Oh, we'll be all right. We're going through town. Frank says the hunting is better over in that direction. Don't you, Frankie?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, goodbye, Mom. Don't worry. We're going to be fine. All right, shut up, everybody. Shut up. Shut up now, do you hear me? First man opens his mouth gets it. You see my partner's guns? He's got an itchy finger. Now keep him covered, kid, while I get the cash.
You bet, fella. We said don't move. Shut up, lady. You're not hurt. Shut up, everybody.
All right, kid. I got all the cash. Let's go. Boy, there should be a run on this bank this afternoon.
They're starting. Quick, before they turn on the alarm.
How much you think we got, Annie Pie?
We'll count it later. Good hunting, though. Hey, you think they knew it?
No, not a chance. Hey, there goes the alarm.
Keep driving. I'll watch behind. Let me get rid of your Ma's red scarf. They'll be describing it all over in half an hour.
But we'll be out of the state.
Hey, Frankie, police car taking off after us.
That was fast.
Slow down a minute. Slow down. Do as I say. They can catch us anyway. They got souped up motors. Good. Hold steady now. Don't spoil my aim.
And don't kill anybody.
Think I'm crazy? I just want to... Oh, I missed. Both hands. One more try. They're getting closer.
Shooting at us.
Well, did you think they wouldn't? Hold everything, Frankie. I can't miss this time. Hey, I got him. Right front tire. Blew right off the rim. Speed up, Frankie. We're in the clear. Now they'll never catch us.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with Two Gun Annie. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Joan Loring as Ann Armistead in Two Gun Annie. They made it that first time. They made it completely. The police car, its tires shot out by Ann's marksmanship, abandoned the chase. Ann and Frankie drove into the next state, to the outskirts of a big city. There, excited, tired, they left their jalopy well hidden in a small wood, but not before Ann had exchanged her boy's attire for a sweater and skirt. Then they walked into the heart of the city, found a furnished room, and settled down. A week passed. The excitement began to disappear. Another week, and another. By the end of the month, with pursuit apparently a thing of the past, Ann and Frank ventured into the streets in daylight as well as at night. Late one afternoon, in a quiet residential neighborhood...
Frankie?
Uh-huh.
How much do we have left? Of the money, I mean.
Enough.
Oh, now you bought me clothes. We've been to nightclubs. How much is left?
Well, you counted it with me. You know how much we had in the first place.
Oh, I see. We're almost broke, huh?
Yeah, check, Annie. Fine.
We better start thinking about getting some more.
No, we'll need a car for that.
Well, that should be pretty easy. Only this time, no jalopy, a real car.
Why not a heap?
A real car doesn't sway. Not as much, anyway. I don't want to waste bullets like the last time.
Pie, you're terrific.
Thanks, Frankie.
Any special kind of car you're thinking of?
Yeah, a heavy one.
Heavy?
Yeah, see, like that sedan over there.
Yeah. Looks like there's plenty of speed under that hood, huh?
Yeah. I wonder... Come on, Frankie.
Now what?
Neighborhood like this, people have a tendency to get careless a little. Oh, they sure do. Look.
Yeah, I see the keys.
Hanging right in the lock on the dashboard. Oh, it's practically an invitation.
Isn't it, though?
Do we?
We do. It's a keen job, this one, huh?
You can say that again.
Where to, madame?
The house, Franklin.
The house?
There's certain equipment we don't want to leave behind, including the firearms and the young gentleman's outfit that fits me so well.
Gas, sir? How many gallons?
5 will do it, mister.
Will you turn off your ignition, please? Because...
Sorry, mister. As you can see, it's not your gas we're after.
Mister, tell the boy to put that gun away.
Why, when I told him to take it out in the first place? I do like the kid says, see?
Well, there's not much in the register. Please
Get
don't...
moving. If it's not in the register, it's someplace. Filling station figures this always has plenty of dough on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. What may we do for you?
We want a room. What have you got?
Well, sir...
We've driven a long way today. Anything with a bath will do.
Sorry, ma'am. There's nothing left without.
Well, how much without?
There's nothing left without either, sir.
Did you hear that, dear?
I heard. Not very hospitable, is he?
No. Now, don't you think you could be more accommodating if you were in his place, dear?
Oh, I know I could.
Now, see here.
You see here.
A gun.
2 of them. And they talk loud if they have to.
You want to know what they say?
Yes, sir.
They say get into the office. My wife will mind the desk for you. Go on and get back into the office with me. Open the safe. We're a couple of guests. You're going to pay to get to leave.
Lots of power under that hood. How I'd love to let her out.
But you won't. Not past the limit yet. No traffic cops this trip.
Check. Annie Pie, did you ever see a scared rabbit like that hotel clerk?
What a waste of time. $500 in the safe, and look at the chances we took.
Well, chances are part of this business, Annie Pie. It's like the big businessmen say, the calculated risk.
Yeah, sure, but the profit's got to be worth the risk.
A meaning, baby?
That the First National Bank over in White Oak is just begging for a heist.
And we didn't do so good at the first job in a bank.
Because we were green. We didn't figure on the time lock on the vault. This time we're really planning it. This is going to be a real haul.
Not a soul around. Perfect.
8:40. He'll be along any minute.
Cashier?
Right. He opens up, locks the door behind him. A couple of minutes later, his assistant comes in. Same routine. Just like I told you yesterday. Time lock opens the vault at 8:55 sharp. We'll have 5 minutes to clean out the joint.
Watch it, Annie. Here he comes.
Check and double check. Mind if we come in with you, mister?
I'm sorry, the bank isn't open until 9.
Yeah, get in. Shut the door. Your regular routine. This ain't no cat pistol.
Mine neither.
Yes, of course.
All right, move fast now. Come on, open the cages.
But they are open.
You know what I mean. Pull that switch. I want the alarm off before I clean out the teller's cages.
You know your business, don't you? There you are.
All right, now face to the wall. As soon as your partner comes in, here's what I want you to...
He's at the door.
Yeah. What a surprise he's in.
Yeah.
Morning, Arthur. Oh.
You got early customers over against the wall. Go on, move.
Yes, of course.
All right, Frankie, clean out the cages.
It's an easy $15,000 here in cash, kid.
There'll be more in the vault.
The vault? You can't open it until 11 o'clock.
Save it, Smarty. We know the time lock goes off at 8:55, and you know the combination.
No, Arthur, you can't give it to them.
That'll take care of him for a while. We intend to have that vault open, Mr. Cashier.
And I have every intention of opening it. I don't especially care for a blow like that one. May I help him?
You may not.
He's bleeding badly. A gun barrel is a nasty weapon to hit a man.
Shut up or you'll get it, too.
Already on the vault, kid.
All right, you. Downstairs, the vault.
Certainly. This way.
An obliging punk, isn't he?
Oh, we don't mind. After all, we're insured, you know, and we're a national bank. We have plenty of resources. Only fools like my assistant would argue with loaded revolvers. Isn't that right?
Stop talking. Get the vault open. Open it, you hear, and shut up. Or we'll leave you inside it after we clean it out. Get moving now. Fast. What are you doing?
I'm hungry, honey. Coffee and hamburger do good right now. How about you?
Well, I suppose. I'd feel better if we had a few more miles between us and White Oak before we stopped.
Well, they won't expect us to stop this close. You get it?
Uh-huh. Leave the haul in the car?
Well, why not? Now, who'd expect to find 15 G's in cash and 25 more in securities in a parked car? There's some haul, huh, Annie Pie?
40,000, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Let's go.
Now, tell me, can you figure it, Annie Pie?
What?
With dough lying around like that loose in banks. People taking jobs in joints like this.
I wonder what they do for excitement.
A drive-in movie, I guess. Now hit yourself to a stool, Annie Pie.
Hey, it smells good.
Sure
Maybe
does.
I am hungry.
Morning, folks.
Hi, morning.
It's likely afternoon, isn't it?
Not till afternoon. What'll it be?
A couple with and coffee.
Any wheat cakes?
I'll find out. Here, let me give you the setup. How about some coffee right away?
Good idea.
You come far this morning?
Not too far.
Is that your car out there?
Yeah, smooth, ain't it? Huh?
Oh, sure is.
Why do you ask?
Well, youngsters like you usually have jalopies, not big sedans like
No,
that
it was
one.
my father's. He got a new one. He gave me that one.
You're lucky. Wish I had a father like that. Excuse me, I'll ask the cook about the wheat cakes.
Coffee's good, isn't it, Frankie?
Sure is.
Hello? Is Sergeant Kurowski there? Margaret. No, I'm working this morning.
Look, Dave, I think I got him here. The kids who stuck up the bank in White Oak this morning. The FBI called before it gave a description. Told us to call you. Their car's a maroon sedan. Right year, right make. Only the young one's a girl. She must have been wearing slacks. Okay, I'll try to hold him. Only tell those G-men to hurry, will you? I think she's got a gun in her purse.
Say, how long does it take to make fresh wheat cake batter?
Well, Cook's very fussy about it, and he was upset because the old stuff was sour.
Take a burger, Ann. Let's get going.
Yeah, tell him to kill the wheats and make me a burger.
Okay, if that's what you want. Hey, what's up, sister?
All right, you kids, reach.
What, it's a stick-up?
FBI. That was a national bank in White Oak. We've got your coal, kids, thanks to this lady here.
She kept us here. She phoned the cops and kept us
Don't
here.
touch that purse.
No, Annie, don't.
Nobody takes me, and not even my own father could do that.
I'm sorry. It's just your arm. We don't like to shoot kids, but your shooting days are over. You should have been quicker on the draw.
I didn't touch no gun. I didn't.
Frank, you louse, you rotten fool.
All right, save it, both of you. That assistant cashier. You fractured his skull. He died an hour ago. You're both due for a murder rap. All right, let's get going. The only party who comes out of this ahead is that lady back at the counter. The insurance company posted a reward half an hour ago.
Crime does not pay. Joan Loring, who starred as Ann Armistead in Two Gun Annie, will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Joan Loring.
To me, at least, the story of Ann Armistead and Frank Winfield is a revealing one. Both young people came from good homes. Anna especially seemed to have every opportunity to grow into a fine woman, a good citizen. Still, they went, in the old expression, they went wrong. Where and why? Examination of both their stories gives us one important clue. Both of them felt their lives were dull, but they needed excitement and a chance for adventure. This feeling is part and parcel of youth. But for Anne and Frank, there was no provision for working off that extra steam. There was no program, no plan. There was no guidance for them. The older generation failed them, as it's failing in so many communities across this nation with disastrous results. That's why, in the last analysis, Anne and Frank sought the release which leads only to the final lesson. That crime does not pay.
Thank you, Miss Loring. Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Mark B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gart. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turtis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.
This I believe. James Hilton, the well-known novelist, was born at Lee, Lancashire, England. He was the son of a school headmaster, who was the inspiration and prototype of his immortal hero, Mr. Chips. Among his best-known works are Lost Horizon, Mrs. Miniver, and Random Harvest. Here is James Hilton's creed.
What I believe makes a sort of signpost on the road joining my knowledge, which is very small, and my ignorance, which is very large. The night is too dark for me to read what it says, but I can just see dimly that there is a signpost, and this is comforting. And perhaps sometime I shall be able to read what it says. In the language I use, there are words like God, destiny, immortality, fate, soul, spirit, luck, and others I'd find it hard to define. But I would so often be helpless to convey what I mean without these words, that it seems to me I cannot gainsay or repudiate the ideas they represent. They've established squatters' rights, at least in my mind, and all the arguments I have with myself would be pretty glum and empty without them. I don't know whether this gives me what many people would call a belief in a supreme being or in a future life, but if I had to answer the question in those terms, I would say that it does. I certainly cannot believe that death is a total end of everything, that life, which must have come from somewhere, is to go nowhere. So I believe that death will be worth dying, just as I have found life worth living. Because I was born in one of the countries of Western civilization, I would be in a sense a Christian, even if I claimed not to be one, because the Christian ethic has been in the moral air I have breathed, and the structure of Christendom part of my spiritual inheritance. One can no more change that sort of thing than one can change climate. Nor would I if I could. I find now as I get older that the climate has prevailed over a lot of rough weather at various times, and that moral values have inched their way to the top of the heap in my own personal reckonings. As for spiritual values, there are moments when insight supersedes logic, and I can believe that the soul must exist if only because it wants to, if it wants to enough. But the soul to me is not a segregation or a seal of approval or a privileged passport across a frontier. When I look at my dog, whose motives and intentions are in so many ways purer than my own, I am as proud of the category of life that includes us both as I am of my race, which happens to be the human race. I believe in my fellow man, in my obligation to respect him as him, and not as a unit of them or even of us, and to accept him as a neighbor who has as much right to enjoy life as I have. And since my own tastes are not everybody's, I must tolerate differences of behavior, and since many of my opinions may be wrong, I believe in the value of saying perhaps and probably very often, but not quite always. Of some ultimate certainty, of which life and death are part, I feel as I have sometimes felt on reaching a mountain peak after hard climbing, a moment when one has neither breath nor skill for eloquence, but when silence itself can say yes, better than words.
They're the beliefs of novelist James Hilton, who now makes his home in Southern California.
Calling all detectives. When a sidewalk pitchman gives away free samples, and they're genuine diamond rings, then it's time to start asking questions. That is the situation on this page from my casebook, the casebook of Jerry Browning, private detective. A private detective like me, Jerry Browning, has to be a super salesman, because all he has to peddle is his knowledge of human nature. The pitchman working on the corner of Elm and Vine Streets was doing a land office business.
Here it is, folks, the most amazing, the most remarkable item you ever saw. Practically given away. This is our way of advertising. Take a look at this, folks. You say it's a cigarette lighter, and right you are. A twirl, a whale, she never misses. But you haven't seen anything yet. Now watch.
He blew out the flame, twisted the bottom of the metal cylinder.
And now it's a ballpoint pen. Only $1, folks. Who'll be the first?
The pitchman was doing fine business, but he didn't look happy. While he chatted away, his eyes darted from side to side, always watchful and wary. Oh, well, watching out for cops is an occupational hazard of sidewalk salesmen. No cops showed up, but about a minute later, a mousy-looking little man joined the crowd. The pitchman spotted him.
This is our way of advertising. Free samples to every 50th customer. And for you, my friend, this genuine imitation diamond bracelet.
From his suitcase, the pitchman pulled a flashy bracelet, tossed it to the latecomer, who grabbed it, put down $1, bought one of the combination lighter pens, and disappeared. About 5 minutes and 6 sales later, the pitchman repeated his giveaway stunt. This time,
a 14-carat simulated almost genuine diamond ring.
The man who got the ring looked vaguely familiar to me. I followed him as he edged away from the crowd. He glanced over his shoulder, saw me, and started to run. I grabbed him at the next corner. Well, if it isn't Hot Eyes Harry. Hand over the ring, Harry. I want to see the kind of samples pitchmen give away these days. I took the ring, examined it. It was a 6-carat marquise-cut diamond in a platinum setting, worth at least $10,000. A street corner pitchman had a new angle. He gave away genuine diamond bracelets and rings with $1 cigarette lighters. The pitchman had disappeared, but my prisoner, Hot Eyes Harry, was perfectly willing to go to police headquarters after I put the cuffs on him. And when we questioned Harry...
Duke, he's the pitchman, glams the stuff, see? Then he passes it along one piece at a time to guys like me, and we peddle it in taverns, take ads in the paper. Nobody suspects a pitchman. It's a perfect setup. Except I got caught.
Where do you meet Duke to give him his share of the money?
In a junk, the Green Lantern on 18th Street.
The Green Lantern was noisy and disreputable. A place where you can get a drink of liquor, a bang over the head, and your pockets picked, all for 35 cents. The bartender was a massive 250-pounder who could have made a better living as a Hollywood villain.
Listen, Bub, this is the 4th time you come nosing in here. For what are you looking besides a smack in the teeth?
Who around here's big enough to do it? The bartender put his hands in his apron pocket.
Bub, I'm a peaceful man. I don't like trouble. It makes me sad.
He took his hands out of his pocket. There was a bung starter clenched in his right fist. I ducked. The wrong way. When I came to, I was sprawled in the gutter, outside the Green Lantern. I staggered to my feet, wobbled down the block. Oh, well, I've lost many a first round. I fumbled through my pockets. Sure enough, the $20 I'd had there was gone. But somebody had thoughtfully put in a dime for car fare. I went on back to my office, got my wallet and credentials out of the desk drawer where I'd left them. There was also a revolver and blackjack in the drawer. I looked at them thoughtfully. Finally decided this was a blackjack-type job, took that and left the revolver. Fat Boy, the bartender, spotted me as soon as I came into the joint again.
Well, Punchy is back for more. Come here, sweetheart, let me slug you again.
The bartender came around the bar as I approached. He turned for a moment to his silent customers.
He loves this.
I didn't say anything. I just swung the blackjack and cracked him lightly across the bridge of his nose. He let out a bellow and went down to his knees. I swung the blackjack again. They crashed forward like a pole-axed steer. I glanced around. Show's over, folks. The bar's closed. Everybody out. About 10 minutes later, the bartender struggled to his knees.
I'll kill you for this.
Sure you will, but not now. When he came to the second time, I dragged him off the floor, flung him into a chair.
What are you going to do to me?
I grinned at him. I'm going to beat your fat head in, an inch at a time. I dangled the blackjack from my fingers. Where's Duke? The bartender leered at me.
You'll never know.
Okay. I got time. I swung the blackjack in a wide arc, but before it landed... Wait! He's hiding out. 67 Forest Street, 3rd floor. Don't hit me again. You mean you don't love it? Come on, let's go for a ride. I picked up a street corner cop, turned Fat Boy over to him, then went on to the Forest Street address. The place was a ratty tenement. I went on up to the 3rd floor. There was only one door. I flattened myself against the wall, reached my hand around. The bullets ripped through the door as they would have ripped through me if I was standing in front of it. A second later, the pitchman dashed out. Once more, I swung the blackjack. And after that, everything was nice and peaceful again. Yep. Fat Boy, the bartender, had stalled me long enough for somebody to get word to Duke that I was coming. Then he gave me the address that was supposed to be a death trap. Except that I know a few things about human nature, too. As much, say, as a bartender with murder in his heart. Well, that broke up the jewel gang. I got a fine reward out of the deal. Not bad for a night's work. Like I said, no matter how tough a proposition may seem, you can generally work it out. If you've got the right pitch. Listen next time to Calling All Detectives. Mystery drama, mystery quiz, and a chance for you to match wits with yours truly, Jerry Browning, Private Detective.
Murder at midnight.
For the last time, Walt, please let me go.
Nuts.
Then it has to be this way.
Hap, no, drop that gun.
I'm sorry, Walt. Very sorry. I've known all along you had to die tonight. But I didn't know. I killed you.
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in The Man Who Died Yesterday. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by William Morwood is The Man Who Died Yesterday. Afternoon on a little-traveled highway. A strange-looking man in threadbare clothes stands hopefully by the roadside. A car comes around a curve. Slows up. Stops.
Looking for a lift? Are you headed for New York? That's me. Hop in.
Thank you. It's very good of you. I'm in a hurry to reach New York. I haven't much time, you see.
Yeah, sure. I picked you right off for a big executive on his way to a board meeting.
Nothing like that. It's just that, there's something terribly important I've got to do. A mission.
Oh, Salvation Army, huh?
No, United Nations. I have to see the Secretary General before midnight tonight. That leaves me only 8 hours.
The United... You feeling all right, pal?
Yes. I was sick, but I'm feeling fine now.
You don't look so good to me. Why does it ghost? Of course, you could do with a haircut, too.
I suppose so. I'm afraid I've been out of touch with civilization a long while. By the way, my name is... was David Hepgood.
Hi. I'm Walt Griggs.
Can't you drive any faster, Walt? We've still got a long way to go, and... well, I'm worried about this part of the road. There's going to be a rock slide.
Rock slide? Oh, you mean those signs? That's nothing to worry about. They put them up on... What is it?
It's all right. Keep going, Walt. We got through safely.
Yeah, but there was a rock slide, just like you said.
Of course, but...
how did you know?
I can see ahead, Walt. See into the future. For 24 hours.
The guy was nuts, of course, but... still, what are the odds against calling a long shot like that? 1,000,000 to 1? 1 billion? I gave up trying to figure it. We drove along for about an hour and then stopped for gas. There was this hamburger joint right by.
Where are we going, Walt?
Grab a bite.
Oh, but there isn't time. I've less than 7 hours now, and by midnight
I gotta gas up anyway, and I'm hungry. Come on, Hep.
Howdy, fellas.
Hello, sugar. Sit down, Hep.
What'll it be, boys?
Hamburger for me, sweetheart, with onions. What's yours, Hep?
I'm not hungry.
Oh, busy with your speech for the United Nations, huh? Well, I'll just read this racing form while you're thinking.
Racing form?
Sure, I play the G's all the time. Got some important dough on today's meet. $50 on Alistair to win in the 6th.
Alistair?
Yep.
I'm afraid you'll lose your money, Walt.
What? Don't kid me. Alistair's a hot favorite. It's going to be a walkaway.
Marble III won that race.
Marble? What are you nuts? He's a rank outsider. 100... What do you mean won the race? It hasn't been run yet.
Hasn't it? I didn't know.
Look, wait a minute. Sweetheart.
Yeah?
You think you can get the races in the radio?
Oh, sure. It's all tuned in. A lot of our customers like to listen.
Walt, we can't waste time like this. Who can think about a horse race?
I can. Remember my $50.
What?
It's a great race. The crowd is going wild with excitement. They're around the bend now, coming into the straight. Alistair is out in front by 2 lanes. The rest of the horses bunched. Alistair is going strong.
Boy, where's your marble, Hap?
Wait.
Entering the last stretch now. It's a walk away for Alistair.
Nice,
4 lanes ahead and no challengers. Wait a minute. Alistair stumbles. Cavalcade stride. He's down.
What?
The jockey's thrown clear, but Alistair... The other horse has gone past. Number 8 is out in front. Number 8. Marble the third. Marble the third. Marble the third. And Marble wins. Rio!
Turn that
That's
thing off.
run for the books, folks. The most extraordinary...
I'll be... You knew it all the time, Hap. You knew Marble had to win.
Of course. Walt, we've got to go.
Sure. Sure, Hap. Anything you say. You're the guy I've been waiting for all my life. I didn't need no more figuring to tell me Hap was a gold mine. And I had him first before anybody else could get their hooks into him. The only thing that worried me was the way he talked. All this about midnight, not having much time. I had to use him while I had him, even if it meant taking chances. So while we drove, I worked on a plan.
Walt, we've left the New York Road. The signs are pointing the other way.
I know. I'm taking a shortcut through a town called Hasek.
Hasek?
Yeah. That name mean anything to you, Hap? Hasek? Think hard.
Let me see. There's going to be a hold-up there tonight at the factory. 2 men involved. They steal the week's payroll, $10,000.
$10,000, huh? They get away with it?
There's a chase, but they shake off the police.
Great. Couldn't be better.
Why?
We're the 2 men, Hap. You and me.
What? No, Walt, no, I'm not a criminal. And I've something else to do with what little time I have left.
You're coming with me, Hap. Maybe this will convince you.
The gun doesn't frighten me. Stop the car and let me out. I've got to get to New York.
All right, look, I'll make a deal with you. You come with me on the stick-up, and I'll drive you straight through to New York without stopping. Are you on?
But I can't, Walt. My message concerns the whole world.
That's the only way you'll get to deliver it.
Well, if it is the only way, all right. There's something more I've got to tell you, Walt.
What's that?
We leave a dead man behind.
It's getting dark. drove down the main street and onto the factory building beyond. It was all dark except for a light in the cashier's office. Hap and I went in. There was a guy sitting at a desk.
Who are you? What do you want?
The 10 grand in that safe. This is a stick-up, brother.
You're crazy. There's no chance.
Open up. I'll do the talking.
I warn you, man. You'll be caught.
Shut up and start turning that dial.
All right. I guess you win.
Come on. Snap into it.
I'm doing the best I can.
That's it. Now hand out those greenbacks. Come on, get a move on.
Watch out, Walt. He's turning in an alarm.
Oh, you double-crossing rat.
You!
This the guy that had to be killed, Hap?
Yes.
Okay, then step on it. The cops will be swarming around like flies.
They're gaining on us, Walt.
Can't go any faster. I'm down to the floorboards already.
They'll start shooting soon.
You sure we get away? There's no slip-up?
No. We get away all right.
Good.
Where did they get you, Walt?
My arm. What do we do, Hap?
Keep driving till we hit that bend in the road.
Yeah?
There's a clump of willows around the corner. Pull in there.
Okay. Here goes. Stop the lights.
Off.
Just like you said.
No hurry. Get back to the New York Road. I've less than 3 hours left.
Okay, but I gotta stop and see a doctor.
The doctor?
Sure, my arm. Oh, what's the matter, Hap?
I'm afraid of that doctor. Something happens there that I don't understand.
What is it?
I don't know. That's something I should have explained before. I can see into the future for you, Walt, and for everyone else. But not for myself.
You the doctor?
What can I do for you?
Oh, my arm. I had a little accident. I was cleaning my gun and it went off.
Come into my office.
Okay.
And this man?
He's just a friend of mine. Nothing the matter with him.
I don't agree. Looks much sicker than you do.
No, doctor, really.
Your face, it's the color of...
No, I'm all right. Believe me. Please hurry with my friend.
It'll only take a second. Just get my stethoscope.
Look, let's quit kidding around, Doc. I'm the one that...
Quiet. Good Lord.
What's the matter, Doc? Why are you looking at him like that?
But it's impossible, of course, but there's no heartbeat.
No.
But that's impossible. If your heart wasn't beating, you'd be...
Dead? Yes. I've been dead since yesterday, at midnight.
Staring at him, the living corpse of the man who died yesterday, Walt, the doctor, draw back in horror. Just who is David Hapgood? Perhaps we'll know when the clock strikes 12 for Murder at Midnight. And now, back to Murder at Midnight and The Man Who Died Yesterday.
The goose pimples were standing out on me. Here I'd found the guy, been with him for hours, through a hole up in a kiln. And now I was hearing from his own lips that he was dead. He gave me the creeps. I wanted to take it in the land, but instead I was froze to the floor. I heard the doc saying...
You've been dead since yesterday?
Yes, doctor.
But that's impossible. There must be some explanation, some obscure heart condition.
There is an explanation, but not that kind. You see, I was cheated out of 24 hours at the time of my birth, and I'm just making up for it now.
How do you mean?
This will sound fantastic to you, but nevertheless it's true. I was born on a ship crossing the international date line. I started coming into the world during the last moments of a Friday and finished up early on Sunday. So I skipped a whole day of my life. I've always been living 24 hours ahead of myself.
But that's shit.
Gospel, Doc. He can call the turn on anything like he was reading tomorrow's paper.
I told you it would sound fantastic, Doctor. But it is true. When I realized it, I tried not to use it for selfish ends. I wanted to help people, but I never could. People would never listen to me, believe me. Finally, I realized that there was no place for me in the world, that man wasn't meant to know the future. So I went away, up into the woods.
How long ago?
About 10 years ago. Away from civilization, it was easier. I still knew what was going to happen, of course, but with no way to communicate my knowledge, my conscience was at rest. That is, until last night.
Last night?
I had caught a cold. It developed into pneumonia. I was deathly sick. I couldn't breathe, and lost consciousness. Then suddenly, at midnight, I was well. Quite well. Not a trace of my illness. I knew what had happened, of course. I was dead. But I still had my missing day to live. I knew I must use it for the benefit of mankind.
How?
There's something I know. Something that involves the fate of millions of people. Unless some action is taken within the next few hours.
What action? What is it?
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you, Doctor. I can't tell anyone except the Secretary General of the United Nations. And I must reach him before midnight, before I'm really dead.
It's getting on to 10 o'clock.
Now do you understand why I'm in such a hurry?
I'll see. Let's get going, Hap. Never mind about my arm. That can wait.
No, listen to me, Hap. You can't leave.
What?
As far as your being able to read the future is concerned, well, it doesn't matter whether I believe that or not, but that heart condition of yours, that's something unique in medical history. Now, you've got to let me take you to a hospital where it can be studied properly.
Lay off that stuff.
I'll phone for an ambulance.
Stay away from that phone. He's mine.
Yours. Do you realize what this can mean to science?
Don't give me that talk. You just want to grab him off for yourself.
Nonsense!
Stop it, both of you. I don't belong to anyone. I'm not a specimen to be examined. I've got a mission to perform for all of civilization. I've got to get to the United Nations before...
Now, no matter how you've been deluding yourself, young man, you're terribly sick. I'm going to phone the hospital.
Okay, you asked for it.
I must get away from here.
Hap, come back here. Come back here. Okay, if you're dead, it won't hurt you, and if you're not...
Oh!
Holy smoke. That bullet went right through you and only knocked you down.
Let go of me, Walt.
Try to run away, huh?
I've got to get to New York. Nothing can stop.
You're coming with me, Hap. I got plans for us as long as you last.
You've got your 10,000. What more do you want?
A chance to run it up to 100,000, and we can do it. I know the place, and you can call the cars.
But there's no time.
I'm figuring on only a couple of hours. That's plenty.
Listen, Walt. I'm asking you for the last time. Let go. Do a decent thing for once in your life.
Nuts.
What I'm trying to do, it's for you as much for millions of others.
I never gave a cuss about the others, and I'm not starting now.
All right, Walt. And that's to be this way.
Hap, drop that gun.
Oh! I'm sorry, Walt. Very sorry. I've known all along that you had to die tonight. But I didn't know that I'd kill you.
Kind of a silent type, ain't you?
Sorry?
Oh, that's all right. I don't like fellows that gab too much. You know, it was nice of you to pick me up back there on the road.
I was lonely. Besides, I needed reassurance.
How's that?
You see, I've been out of touch with civilization for some time, and the people I've met today weren't inspiring.
You're a strange guy, do you know it?
Am I?
Yeah, I mean, the way you talk and look. You don't look quite real. Oh, now don't get me wrong. I like you a lot.
Oh, I'm glad.
Well, for instance, we've been driving for nearly an hour now, and you haven't even made a pass at me once.
I'm afraid that wouldn't do either of us much good.
Yeah, but just the same, a girl appreciates a little thing like that. Incidental, what's your name?
You can call me Hap.
Hi, Hap. I'm Hazel.
How do you do?
Well, I guess I ought to tell you something about myself.
Well, know a little already.
Huh?
You're going to New York to find your fiancé, aren't you?
Yeah, a guy called... Say, how'd you know that?
You're going to look him up in the phone book and call. Then you're going to find out that he's married.
What? Oh, you're kidding me. Jim wouldn't do a thing like that. He'd wait for me forever. He said he would. And hey, why are we stopping?
Almost out of gas.
Howdy, folks.
Fill her up as quickly as possible.
Okay.
How far to New York from here?
Well, you ought to be at George Washington Bridge in about 10 minutes.
Fine.
You folks hear about all the excitement on the highway?
No, what happened?
Well, the cops are looking for a crazy killer. Murdered 3 people. One was a stick-up. The other 2 was a doctor and his own sidekick.
Oh, what's he look like?
Well, according to the radio, he's got a chalk white face, a mop of hair that looks like it hasn't been cut in weeks, no hat, and...
What's the matter, Bud? What are you staring at?
Your friend, I gotta get something out of the office. I'll be back in a minute.
He's going to phone the police. This is your chance to get out, Hazel.
Oh, no, I'm staying with you, Hep. Now, you better get moving and keep moving. No sign we're being followed. We may make it yet.
Are you frightened, Hazel? Being with me?
I guess I should be, but I'm not.
Thank you.
Somehow I can't believe you're crazy. If you killed anyone, you knew what you were doing and you had a good reason.
Thank you again. You don't know what that means to me.
Have people always been scared of you, Hap?
Most people. Till I met you. Why couldn't I have met you sooner, Hazel?
Well, what's wrong with now?
It's a little late.
Not for me.
You honestly mean that?
Sure.
Well, then perhaps it's going to be all right after all. Perhaps we'll meet again.
What do you mean?
I didn't mean to tell you this. Perhaps I shouldn't now. It may cause you pain.
Go ahead. I can stand it.
After you call Jim your fiancé and find that he's married, you start across the street in a daze. Tex is driving too fast and...
Got my number on it, huh?
Yes, I'm sorry. And yet, in a way... What did that sign say, Hazel?
George Washington Bridge, 2 miles.
Oh, I'm going to make it. There's still time. The Secretary General is in his home. They'll let me in when they hear my message. I'll have most of an hour with him. It's not quite 11 yet.
11? Hey, your watch must have stopped.
What?
Look, there's a clock in the building.
Where?
Up to the right, there.
3 minutes of 12. Oh.
Well, what's the matter, Hap?
Oh, I can't make it. Oh, I've lost. Unless... a telephone. There's still time for that.
Well, what are you talking here? There's no phone.
In that house, the family's all in bed upstairs. There's a telephone in the parlor.
But the door's sure to be
They've
locked.
forgotten to latch the parlor window.
Hey, how do you know all these things?
Never mind now. Goodbye, Hazel.
But I'll be waiting here.
No, you'd better start down the road. The police mustn't find you.
But when you come back, I'll be here.
I won't be back, Hazel. This is goodbye. For keeps.
But you've got to come back. You've got to.
Operator, get me the Secretary General of the United Nations at his home. Hurry, please. It's urgent. Hello? The Secretary General, please. It's terribly important. No, I've got to speak to him personally. Midnight. Hello? Will you get him for me? There's no time left and... Never mind. I'll tell you. It's about...
I'll swear to that.
Must have climbed in this window. You better go in and have a look.
There was a girl her with him when he left my gas station. She ought to be around.
Where's the light?
Here. There he is, on the floor. And he looks...
He's dead, all right.
No wonder. Look at that hole in his chest.
Wait a minute. There's something funny here. That wound never bled.
Huh?
The only way that could happen is if he was dead before the bullet hit him.
Two men staring at a corpse that is finally still. And still forever. The corpse of the man who died yesterday. While outside, somewhere in the night, a restless spirit keeps a rendezvous that none can avoid. And the distant clocks chime the last notes in epilogue for Murder at Midnight. Remember to be with us again when death brings time to a full stop and the clocks strike 12 for Murder at Midnight. The part of David Hapgood was played by Stuart Brody. Vandell Kramer was Walt. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
And now, This I Believe. Here is Edward R. Murrow.
This I Believe. Before his Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, Tales of the South Pacific, catapulted him to fame, James A. Michener traveled, taught school, was a businessman, and an able-bodied seaman. He wrote the book during his naval service in World War II, after winning a transfer from a desk job in Washington to the Pacific Theater. Since then, he has become one of America's most illustrious writers. Here is Mr. Michener.
I believe that all men are brothers. I really believe that every man on this earth is my brother. He has a soul like mine, the ability to understand friendship, the capacity to create beauty. In all the continents of this world I have met such men. In the most savage jungles of New Guinea I have met my brother, and in Tokyo I have seen him clearly walking before me. In my brother's house I have lived without fear. Once in the wildest part of Guadalcanal, I had to spend some days with men who still lived and thought in the old Stone Age, but we got along together fine. In the South Pacific, on remote islands, I have sailed and fished with brown men who were in every respect the same as I. Around the world I have lived with my brothers, and nothing has kept me from knowing men like myself wherever I went. Language has been no barrier. For once in India, I lived for several days with villagers who didn't know a word of English. I can't remember exactly how we got along, but the fact that I couldn't speak their language was no hindrance. Differences in social custom never kept me from getting to know and like savage Melanesians in the New Hebrides. They ate roast dog, and I ate army spam. And if we had wanted to emphasize differences, I am sure each of us could have concluded the other was nuts. But we stressed similarities, and so long as I could snatch a navy blanket for them now and then, we had a fine old time with no words spoken. It was in these islands that I met a beat-up, shameless old Tonkinese woman. She would buy or sell anything, and in time we became fast friends, and I used to sit with her, knowing not a word of her curious language, and we talked for hours. She knew only half a dozen of the vilest English obscenities, but she had the most extraordinary love of human beings and the most infectious sense of this world's crazy comedy. She was of my blood, and I wish I could see her now. I believe it was only fortunate experience that enabled me to travel among my brothers and to live with them. Therefore, I do not believe it is my duty to preach to other people and insist that they also accept all men as their true and immediate brothers. These things come slow. Sometimes it takes lucky breaks to open our eyes. For example, if I had never known this wonderful old Tonkinese woman, I might not now think of all Chinese as my brothers. I had to learn, as I believe the world will one day learn. Until such time as experience proves to all of us the essential brotherhood of man, I am not going to preach or scream or rant. But if I am tolerant of other men's prejudices, I must insist that they be tolerant of me. To my home in rural Pennsylvania come brown men and yellow men and black men from around the world. In their countries I lived and ate with them. In my country they shall live and eat with me. Until the day I die, my home must be free to receive these travelers. And it never seemed so big a home or so much a place of love as when some man from India or Japan or Mexico or Tahiti or Fiji shares it with me. For on those happy days, it reminds me of the wonderful affection I have known throughout the world. I believe that all men are my brothers. I know it when I see them sharing my home.
That was James A. Michener, whose writing about Asia and the Pacific has given Americans new insight as well as many literary gems.
For that most famous of all manhunters, the detective whose ability at solving crime is unequaled in the history of detective fiction, Nick Carter, Master Detective. Tonight's curious adventure,
9 Hours to Live, for Nick Carter and the Death House Mystery.
And now, a late news bulletin. 9 hours from now, at the stroke of midnight, Johnny Waldron, the blonde-faced killer convicted of the murder of Mrs. Cornelia Fielding, will go to the chair. Just 30 minutes ago, the condemned man made a last request. But Johnny Waldron did not ask for a sumptuous last meal in the tradition of the condemned, nor did he ask to see his nearest and dearest relative, his wife Laura. No, Johnny Waldron's request was for something much more dramatic. He asked to see the great detective, Nick Carter. Now, just what this last-minute conference means is anybody's guess. Perhaps a reprieve for Waldron. Perhaps a clue as to what happened to the Fielding jewels, which up to now have not even been found. At any rate, the master detective, Nick Carter, has consented to talk with Waldron and is probably at this very moment entering Death House Row. Keep tuned to this station for further dramatic developments.
He's in number 1. We moved him to number 1 this morning. You see, it's a shorter ways to walk to the chair. Number 1.
You all ready to go?
Yeah, the barber was in and shaved his head and legs about an hour ago.
How are you taking it?
Oh, there ain't been a peep out of him. Don't want nothing to eat. Don't want a chaplain. Nothing at all. The only request he's made is to see you. Funny time to ask to see a detective, huh? If you don't mind my asking, Mr. Carter, what made a big shot like you decide to see him?
Well, maybe I'm curious to know what's in his mind.
Or maybe I'm just a softy about a fellow's going to die in a few hours.
I don't believe that you got any sympathy for a criminal. Not you. Not when a man's a killer. Yeah, here we are. Here's your company, Waldron.
Oh, hi.
Hello, Waldron.
Oh, Mr. Carter.
You got 5 minutes.
All right, guard. Well, Johnny?
Oh, so you did come. Gosh, I was afraid you wouldn't.
Well, I must admit I was surprised when the warden called me and said you wanted to see me.
Yeah, I imagine you were. Gee, it was sure nice of you to come.
Let's skip the formalities, Johnny. Time's too short for chit-chat. Come to the point. What's on your mind?
Mr. Carter, you think I'm guilty, don't you?
Well, I didn't follow your case too closely. But you had a fair trial, and you were found guilty. What would you have me believe?
I'd like to have you believe that I'm innocent.
Pretty late in the game to convince anybody of that, Johnny.
Oh, I'm not looking for a last-minute reprieve. That isn't what I asked you to come out here for. When I got word a little while ago that the governor refused my last request for a reprieve, I just made up my mind that I'd only be kidding myself if I hoped any longer.
Why did you want to see me, Johnny?
Mr. Carter, I know I haven't got a chance. I'm going to be gone in just a few hours now. But I could go a lot easier if I thought that maybe someday the world would know the truth. They'd know that Johnny Waldron was innocent.
Johnny, if I thought you were innocent, I'd start the wheels turning right now to get your reprieve.
Oh, wait. Let me finish, Mr. Carter. I know you don't believe me. Nobody does. I guess I couldn't expect you to believe me after the way things went at the trial. But sitting here in death row, waiting, the idea came to me that maybe Nick Carter would show him someday. Of course, I'd be gone, but, well, you see, there's Laura, my wife. She's going to keep on living, and it'll be hard for her.
I suppose she believes you're innocent.
Oh, she stuck by me swell. She's a wonderful woman, and I don't want the world to look on her as the widow of a murderer. Mr. Carter, all I'm asking is that after I'm gone, in your spare time, will you try to prove that they executed the wrong man? Just for my wife's sake.
Johnny, if you're innocent, who do you think did rob the Fielding safe and kill Mrs. Fielding?
I don't know, Mr. Carter.
What? There's nobody you even suspect?
Well, the only one that... No, I'm not going to accuse somebody I'm not sure of. I've only got a few more hours to live, and I don't...
If you want me to do anything for you, Johnny, you better tell me everything you can about this.
No. You'll find it for yourself once you start looking.
Well, I've got to have some kind of evidence to go on it.
I don't have any. Cards were stacked so well against me, but go see Laura. She's never stopped working for me. Maybe she knows more by now.
Look here. If that's the case, why haven't you had a lawyer working for you right up to the last minute?
Lawyers. I never had that kind of dough. Oh, a couple of shysters came around thinking maybe I had the Fielding jewels tucked away someplace. When they found out they weren't going to get a cut, they faded pretty fast. Even if you decided to do anything for me, Mr. Carter, I wouldn't be able to pay you for your trouble. You'd have to do it just as a favor to a dying man.
You don't know where the jewels are?
No, Mr. Carter. How could I know? I didn't do that job. Look, you go see Laura. She'll tell you whatever she can.
All right. Time's up, Mr. Carter. All right, Garrett. Well, Johnny, I'll look into your case.
I don't suppose you believe me.
I bet he's been telling you an innocent man is being sent to the chair, huh? He tells that to everybody.
Did it ever occur to you, Guard, that he might be telling the truth?
Why?
So long, Johnny. Good luck.
Oh, thanks for coming, Mr. Carter. And thanks for whatever you can do for me, sir.
I'd very much like to know what happened to those Fielding jewels.
Huh? Oh, yes. Well, maybe they'll turn up while you're investigating.
Think so? I wonder.
Say, Guard, how long is it until
8 hours, Johnny. Just 8 hours more.
Hello, Nick Carter. Carter's office.
Oh, Patsy, this is Nick.
Oh, Nick, thank heaven you called. This place is a madhouse. The office is filled with reporters. The newspaper and broadcasting companies have been telephoning. The district attorney has been trying to reach you.
Well, what's the trouble?
They want to know if you're going to try to get a reprieve for Johnny Waldron. The DA said he'd stick around his office all evening. And he's contacted the governor, and he'll be on tap ready.
Reprieve? Well, great heaven, I just talked to the fellow. I don't have any evidence, none whatsoever. What's the matter with the DA?
Well, when Nick Carter goes to work on a case, even at the 0 hour, something usually pops.
I'll tell him to hang on to the hats a while. And you, Patsy, go up to the courthouse and get a transcript from the Walden trial. Dig up what you can out of our files about Waldron. I'm heading back from State's prison right away. Meet you in front of the office.
All right, Nick. But we're going to have to work fast. They throw the switch in exactly 7 hours and 40 minutes. Waldron was really hired as a chauffeur. It was brought out of the trial that he ingratiated himself with the old lady every chance he got.
Oh?
You know, Mrs. Fielding was an invalid. Waldron used to carry her up and down stairs and waited on her and all that sort of thing. He was inside the house a great deal. Then, let's see now. Oh, the gun was traced to Mrs. Fielding's stepson, Tom Fielding. But the prints on the gun were Waldron's.
Her stepson lived there with her?
Yes, just the two of them. Waldron and all the other servants slept out and reported for work in the mornings at 8.
When was the body found?
On a Thursday night at 10 o'clock, in the library of the house. Tom Fielding came home from his club and found her. The safe was open and the jewels and money gone. Of course, any of the servants, as well as Tom Fielding, might have known the combination of the safe. Mrs. Fielding often opened it in front of all of them. The defense harped on that at the trial, but Waldron's prints on the gun and his alibi being so flimsy cooked his goose.
I see.
How did Waldron strike you, Nick? Guilty?
It's the evidence that tells the tale in any case, Patsy. If we could find the party who has the missing Fielding jewels...
It would look pretty grim for that party.
I said it wouldn't look good, that's sure.
Oh, Nick, look at the time.
5:50.
In 6 hours and 10 minutes, an innocent man may be electrocuted.
Oh, no, Patsy. No innocent man will be electrocuted for a crime he didn't do. Well, my name's Nick Carter. And here's our first stop, Patsy. His old tenement house. Laura Waldron lives here.
You're very nice to come to see me, especially today.
Mrs. Waldron, this is my assistant, Patsy Bourne.
How do you do, Miss Bourne? Hello, Mrs. Waldron. Won't you two sit down? Here, let me dust the chair. Oh, no, don't. It's perfectly all right. Since Johnny's been away, I haven't been as good a housekeeper as I used to be. I've no heart for it anymore.
Mrs. Waldron, I came to see you because...
I know you went to see my husband. I heard on the radio.
Yes, that's right.
But it's too late to get Johnny off, isn't it? Besides, we don't have any money to pay a famous detective. Mrs. Waldron, the only thing Nick Carter ever asks is that justice be done.
Now, Mrs. Waldron, tell me about Johnny. His habits, what he likes, what he doesn't like.
Johnny's good, Mr. Carter. You see, I know he's innocent.
But have you proof, Mrs. Waldron?
Proof? No. Just my heart tells me he wouldn't kill anybody. But more than that, I know because he was with me at the time the police say she was killed.
The prosecution tore his alibi to shreds.
Yes, a wife's testimony doesn't count for much in court. Oh, yet how thankful I am that he was with me that night. That I know he's innocent. You understand what I mean, don't you, Miss Bourne? You understand when I say the world can stand against your man, but if you know he's right and good and true, you... Mrs. Waldron, isn't there any way at all it can be proved that your husband was home with you that night? No. You don't think of providing alibis for staying in your own home. It isn't much, I know, but it's ours. Tom Fielding has offered to help me. Now Johnny's going to be...
Tom Fielding? You mean the stepson of the woman your husband's convicted of murdering?
Yes.
In what way has he offered to help you?
Money. He knows Johnny isn't a murderer. His testimony in court didn't follow that line, Mrs. Waldron. Of course not. Mr. Fielding had himself to protect. That's right, Nick. Fielding was under suspicion. Just this afternoon he called me again. And where's the jewels, I said to him. If my Johnny did it, where's the jewels and the money? Would I be begging for work if Johnny had done it? You're working now, Mrs. Waldron? Day work. Scrubbing up places where they don't ask too many questions. Oh, but I'd mop the streets of this town from one end to the other every day. Johnny deserves to die. Oh, don't, Mrs. Waldron. Don't cry, please. Please don't cry.
You have to excuse me. Just that I can't stand to think. I'm counting the minutes and seconds now. Only a few more hours. Johnny will be gone.
Mrs. Waldron, I'd like to ask you another question.
All right.
Maybe Nick can save your husband yet, you know.
Oh, if he only could.
There isn't time left for me to chase down every witness and question them. Tell me, Mrs. Waldron, whom do you suspect of robbing and murdering your husband's late employer?
Who? Oh, Mr. Carter, I have no proof against anyone.
I didn't ask if you knew who murdered Mrs. Fielding. I only said, whom do you suspect?
But I have no right to suspect him.
Right? What do you mean?
But he's been so kind and offered to help. Tom Fielding. That's who you think did it. Oh, I never dared think it out loud before. He was her stepson, you know, but she loved him like her own. Oh, they had their quarrels. Oh, they were just money spat. I'm not saying he did it, only...
Only what?
You talk to him, Mr. Carter.
All right, I will. We'll go right over to the Fielding house now.
Oh, but you won't find him at home at this hour, Mr. Carter. He's always at the club at this time. I know from when Johnny used to drive for him. That's the old Hunt Club, isn't it? Yes.
10th and 5th. Come on, Patsy, let's hurry. Time's precious.
Okay. Goodbye, and thank you. I'll be right here waiting and praying you find the guilty man in time to save Johnny. Nick, there's something puzzling you. What is it? Didn't you think Mrs. Waldron's story made sense?
Well, it did, and it didn't.
But, Nick, doesn't it seem a bit odd for Tom Fielding to offer her money?
Yes, if that's true.
Well, then her story does make sense.
Patsy, it's not what Mrs. Waldron said that's bothering me. Something else.
Something else? Well, what is it, Nick?
I wish I knew. But there's something that doesn't fit into the picture. It's in the back of my mind somewhere, but I can't quite get the key to it.
If you ask me, Tom Fielding is the one who could straighten out a lot of things.
And he's the man we're going to tackle right now. Well, this Hunt Club's pretty swanky, isn't it?
Good evening, sir. Can I park your car for you?
Fancy place. Still has doorman and porter.
Oh, I beg your pardon, miss. Ladies are permitted in the old Hunt Club. I'm sorry.
Well, that lets you out, Patsy.
I guess it does.
You better wait for me here.
Yes, I guess I'll have to. Oh, Nick. It's 8:15. Only 3 hours and 45 minutes to go until midnight. Ring again, Nick. Fielding wasn't at his club, so he's got to be home here.
Your womanly intuition isn't working right tonight, Patsy. Not a light in the whole house. I don't think anybody's home.
Oh, Mr. Fielding, if you only knew how much time we've wasted looking for you.
Well, Patsy, maybe we can uncover enough evidence without seeing Mr. Fielding face to face.
What are you going to do?
A little high-class lockpicking in the interest of Johnny Waldron and his wife, Laura. There we are. All right, come on in. Stay behind me.
Gee, it's dark in here.
Shut the door and I'll use my flash.
Where are we headed for?
The library.
Oh.
That's the room Mrs. Fielding was killed in, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. These old houses, the library's usually back this way, off the center hall. Come on.
All right. You think there's anybody beside us in the house?
I hope not. Here we are. This is the door. This must be it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the library.
What are we looking for?
Well, right now, I'm looking for Mrs. Fielding's safe.
Safe?
Mm-hmm.
Safe. Oh, it's behind that portrait up there. That was in the testimony.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Betsy. Oh, turn on that small lamp, will you? Take a glance at the papers on the desk while I open this safe.
Say, Mrs. Fielding held her son and heir down while she was living. He's certainly making up for it now. Look at that wine cabinet, filled to the hilt with pre-war stuff. Oh, and look at this black market stuff. Have a gold-tipped cigarette, Miss Bowen. Yes, thank you, I will.
Patsy, shame on you. How'd you feel if Tom Fielding walked in here right now and caught you swiping his expensive cigarettes?
Only one, Nick. And for that matter, how would you feel if Mr. Fielding saw you about to open his safe? Oh, Nick!
You okay?
Yes, I guess so.
They shot through that window there. And the bullet went right in the side of the desk here.
Oh, we better get out of here, Nick.
Now, 1 minute, Patsy. Got to see what's in this safe. It's almost open now.
Well, who do you think shot at us, Mr. Fielding?
Oh, Patsy, will you pick that bullet out of the desk? It'll be a handy piece of evidence.
All right. So you're taking this attempt to murder us awful lightly, Nick.
I don't think it was murder, Patsy.
Not murder.
No. You were standing by the wine cabinet, not 4 feet from the window. And I was a perfect target standing here. No, Patsy, I think you'll find somebody was just trying to scare us away.
Oh. Well, I got the bullet out. Looks like a .32.
There we are. Patsy.
Yes?
Look here.
The missing jewels. Oh, Nick.
Yes, right here in the safe.
Oh, Nick, that's wonderful.
Hey, Patsy, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm getting the DA on the phone for you. You've got the evidence for Johnny Waldron's reprieve.
Now, wait a minute,
I knew he wasn't guilty, Nick. Mrs. Waldron was telling the truth.
Patsy, put down that phone.
Yes, Nick.
Now, get me police headquarters first. I want a general alarm sent out for Tom Fielding.
But Johnny Waldron.
I still have 2 hours, Patsy. If Waldron's innocent, I'll prove it in time to save him from the chair.
Nick, why should you want to talk to Mrs. Waldron again when you haven't asked for the reprieve? Only make her feel worse.
There's something about it that doesn't add up, Patsy. And I've got to know what it is before I go any further. This is her door, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Nick Carter, your thinking on this case is beyond me.
Oh, Patsy, it's hard to explain. When I don't know myself what the missing link is, how can I explain it to you?
But you found the jewels. Tom Fielding had them in his safe. Why, it's obvious, Nick. He didn't get along with his stepmother, and he... Nick, what are you doing?
Want to open Mrs. Waldron's door?
Oh, no, don't do that, Nick. I'm sure she's here. She's probably been crying and doesn't want to see anybody. Let me call her first. Mrs. Waldron? Mrs. Waldron?
Oh, sorry, Patsy. We haven't any time to waste. Now, let's see. Where's the light switch?
It's here by the door. Oh, she isn't here.
So it seems.
Nick. Look here. There's a gold-tipped cigarette in this ashtray, the same kind we saw at Fielding's house.
Let's have it. No lipstick on it. Kind of pinched in near at the end.
He's been here. I never would have believed it of him.
Believe what?
Well, that a man like Fielding would come to a place like this. Why, a man like that wouldn't get his hands dirty putting them on the doorknob of a hovel like this.
Say that again, Patsy.
What? Well, a man like Fielding wouldn't dirty his hands on the doorknob of a place like...
I got it. Patsy, you just gave me the key I've been looking for. Come on. We've got to get back to Fielding's library or there'll be another murder. You know, Patsy, there are times when having a siren in this car comes in handy. And tonight's one of them. Hope we're in time.
Do you think the police have picked Fielding up yet, or do you think he'll be at his home?
He's at home. I'll bet my bottom dollar on that.
Nick, do you know what time it is?
Stop worrying about the time and come on.
I'm right with you.
The place is still dark.
There's a little light shining in the hallway.
He's here, all right. Why don't you step, Patsy?
Don't worry about me.
I slipped the latch on the front door when we left. Let's see if it's been bolted. No, still open. All right, come on.
Where do you think he is?
The library, probably.
Oh, I hear someone, Nick.
Yeah, they're both here.
Oh, that's Mrs. Waldron's voice. Open the door, Nick.
Oh, it's locked. I'll try to pick it.
Oh, Nick, hurry.
I am hurrying.
He's killed her.
There.
Oh, Mrs. Waldron.
Oh, thank heaven you came. He was just going to shoot me. I got the gun away from him. And... Oh,
you shot him?
Yes, Mr. Carter. But it was self-defense. Anyone can see that.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Mrs. Waldron.
It was worth it. It was worth it. Now Johnny will be safe. He won't have to die in the chair.
Nick, you've only got 7 minutes to call it. 7 minutes to 12.
Hurry, Mr. Carter.
Just a minute. Calm yourself, Mrs. Waldron. Here, have a cigarette.
A cigarette? All right.
May I light it for you?
Thanks. Wait a minute till I get my cigarette holder out of my bag.
So, you do use a cigarette holder. I thought so.
Nick, the time is getting awfully short for your call to the DA.
I'm not going to make that call.
Why, Nick, not going to make it.
No, Mrs. Waldron. It was a nice frame-up you and your husband tried against Tom Fielding, but it didn't work.
Frame-up?
Yes, frame-up. You and Johnny staged this whole thing to get him a last-minute reprieve. It was pretty clever, but you made a couple of mistakes. For example, this gold-tipped cigarette butt I found in your apartment tonight.
What about it?
When I found this butt in your apartment all pinched in at the end from having been smoked in a holder, I knew you had lied about not having seen Tom Fielding. These particular cigarettes are made to order for him.
I didn't leave it there.
I couldn't be sure of that until I found that you used a cigarette holder. Then I knew I was right. You did leave it here.
Go on, prove it.
Another thing, Patsy. Take a look at Mrs. Waldron's hands.
My hands? Why, they're beautiful. Beautifully manicured.
Exactly. Mrs. Waldron, with hands like yours, you don't scrub floors for a living. That dingy apartment of yours is merely a front.
Look out, Nick.
Gun. Huh?
Yes, and I know how to use this gun, too, and I'm going to. Oh!
So sorry to hate you, Mrs. Waldron. Patsy.
Yes?
Take a look at Tom Fielding. See if he's still alive.
Right, Nick.
You haven't got anything on me. You can't get
He's
me
still
for
breathing, Nick.
Good. Go on for an ambulance, quick.
Okay. Oh, but Nick, can you prove this charge against Mrs. Waldron? Can you be positive she and her husband framed Fielding?
Not yet, Patsy, but I'm so sure I'm right that I'll risk my reputation on it.
But, Nick, as long as there's the slightest doubt about it, shouldn't you call the DA and give Johnny Waldron the benefit of the doubt?
No, Patsy. As far as I'm concerned, there's no doubt whatsoever. I'm so sure I'll even risk Johnny's life on it.
Hello, Nick Carter's office. Oh, yes, Lieutenant. Yes? Yes? It was. He is. Oh, I see. Well, thank you, Lieutenant. Yes, I'll tell Nick. Goodbye.
Was that the report from police headquarters, Patsy?
Yes, it was Lieutenant Riley. And you were right, Nick. That gun you took from Mrs. Waldron was registered in Johnny's name. And she lied about taking the gun away from Fielding and shooting him in self-defense. Fielding's fingerprints weren't on the gun anywhere, but hers were all over it.
Did they check with the bullet when you picked out of that desk? The one that was fired at us?
Yes, and it came from the same gun.
Fine. And what about Fielding? Did Riley say?
He's going to live. What's more, he regained consciousness long enough to make a statement.
Good.
Oh, Nick, that Mrs. Waldron was certainly clever. She was planting the jewels in Fielding's safe when he came in the room and caught her. So she
held him at the point of her gun and knocked him out, bound his wrists and ankles, gagged him, and hid him away in another room.
What? How did you know that?
Very simple, Patsy. The marks where he'd been tied were still on his wrists when I examined him, and also there was a bump on his head.
Nick, you're always holding out on me. And one other thing. What made you think Fielding's life would be in danger way back when we were in Mrs. Waldron's apartment the second time?
Curious, huh? Well, Patsy, after your inspired remark about hands, I suddenly realized what it was about Mrs. Waldron that puzzled me. It was her hands. I knew that with hands like hers, she couldn't be earning her living scrubbing floors.
Oh, I see.
And if she were lying about that, it was very probable she was lying about everything. And the whole thing was a plot to make Fielding look guilty.
But why should that make you suddenly afraid that something might be going to happen to Fielding?
Patsy, if she and Johnny were so anxious to get Johnny a reprieve that they were willing to give up the jewels to make it look as if Fielding were really the guilty man, it was entirely possible that she might go further and kill Fielding and try to make it look as if he killed himself.
But how would that help Johnny Waldron?
Well, if it was done right, it would look as if he were remorseful at having let Johnny take the blame. And she almost got away with it.
But she didn't, because Nick arrived in the nick of time. You're a wonderful detective, Mr. Carter.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, at midnight last night, Johnny Waldron went to the electric chair to pay for the crime of having murdered Mrs. Cornelius Fielding. His dramatic last-minute attempt to get a reprieve failed, thanks to the quick action of that master detective, Nick Carter. In those few short hours that Carter was actually on the case, he found the missing jewels, uncovered a well-laid plot between Johnny and his wife to pin the murder on Tom Fielding and save Fielding's life. Tom Fielding and the entire community owe a debt of gratitude to Nick Carter.
This has been another of the strange adventures of Nick Carter, Master Detective, which are brought to you regularly at this time by WOR Mutual. Well, Nick, what happens in your next week's story?
I want to tell you the story of the time that I quite accidentally stumbled onto a terrible crime. Or to be more correct, I stumbled onto evidence that a terrible crime had been committed.
That doesn't sound like a very unusual thing for you to do.
Except for one little fact, Mr. Ripley. We didn't know where or when the crime had been committed.
In spite of the fact that we heard the story of the murder from the victim's own lips.
As a matter of fact, we even heard the murder committed.
And we were powerless to do anything about it.
If you're trying to make me curious about it...
We are.
You're certainly succeeding.
Well, it's as unusual a tale as I've had the pleasure of telling in a long while, I assure you. So until next week, so long.
So long, folks.
And so long to you, Nick and Patsy. In the strange adventure you have just heard, Nick Carter was impersonated by Lon Clark, Patsy by Helen Choate. The story was written for Nick Carter by Barth Conray. Original music was played by Lou White. The entire production was under the direction of Jock McGregor. Next week, at the same time, listen to another curious experience of Nick Carter entitled
Records of Death. For Nick Carter and the Mystery of the Unclaimed Box.
This story is a copyrighted feature of Street and Smith Publications, Incorporated. The Return of Nick Carter is produced in the studios of WOR and is broadcast over most of these stations every Saturday evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Wartime. And don't forget that the adventures of Nick's adopted son, Chick Carter, are broadcast over most of these stations Mondays through Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Wartime. This is Mutual.
This, I believe. Veteran journalist James N. Young was born in Texas and started his career as a newspaper reporter in Baltimore and Los Angeles. During World War I, he served on General Pershing's staff in France. Recently, he retired after many years as associate editor of Collier's magazine. Here is what James N. Young believes.
Many years ago, one of my friends and I purchased 40 acres of land not far from Wilmington, North Carolina, with the intention of starting a small chicken farm. In need of a house, we employed an old colored man to build one for us. We did not discuss cost. We knew that man was honest. Born in slavery, the old fellow could barely read and write. But he drew up the plans and built that house, a good house, honestly constructed, strong, just what we wanted. And when I glanced at the bill he submitted, I was shocked. Some of you asked was so pitifully small. See here, I explained, you aren't making any profit. The old man smiled. I'm making plenty, he replied gently. Couldn't rightly ask for more, and he wouldn't take a cent more than the bill called for. He lived across the road from us. He owned a little cabin. He had a fine wife who had borne him many children. He did odd jobs when the good Lord provided them. He never complained about anything. And although hard times were constantly knocking at his door, he was always cheerful. He owned a huge Bible, which he referred to as the Good Book. Reading was difficult for him, but he could do it by spelling out the words very slowly, and every day he read a chapter in the Good Book. Better still, he lived in accordance with the precepts in that book, and I shall never forget him. He was the happiest man I've ever known. Wise men and cynics alike continued to propound that old bromide, that happiness is a goal impossible of attainment. But the wisest of men can be wrong, and I believe that despite the sorrows and disappointments and frustrations that all men must endure, happiness is attainable. I believe that all over the world, men and women in various walks of life may be found who are fully as happy as my old colored friend in Carolina. We human beings have a long way to go, however, before we are thoroughly civilized, and because this is true, an appropriate title for a history of mankind would be The Martyrdom of Man. I honestly believe, though, that the good in almost all sane, normal men outweighs by far the evil, and that mankind is slowly but surely growing better. I believe we are moving toward a far, far better world than we have ever known in the past. A world in which warfare is unknown, a world in which it will be regarded as unthinkable that a man live a selfish, self-centered life without regard to the welfare of others. A world in which intolerance of others, a product of ignorance, because of their race, religious beliefs, or customs, will be a hateful thing of the past. This I believe, and I am sorry I cannot render it in terms less platitudinous. I have other beliefs, of course, and some of them are set down by Arthur Christopher Benson in his delightful collection of essays from a college window, in these stirring words. I've grown to believe that the one thing worth aiming at is simplicity of heart and life, that one's relations with others should be direct and not diplomatic, that power leaves a bitter taste in the mouth, that meanness and hardness and coldness are the unforgivable sins, that conventionality is the mother of dreariness, that pleasure exists not in virtue of material conditions, but in the joyful heart, that the world is a very interesting and beautiful place, that congenial labor is the secret of happiness. I like that credo. I believe it is a good one by which to live.
That was James N. Young of New York City. He recently retired after 33 years of magazine work, 29 of which were spent as associate editor of Collier's.
Right, beat.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy as Randy Stone.
Hi, this is Randy Stone. I cover the Night Beat for the Chicago Star. And it's just that, Night Beat. Plodding, pounding pavements, always looking for that story that beats with the pulse of the city at night. There's a bite in the air. A penetrating drizzle goes through your bones. The tired, pallid faces look out at nothing through the streetcar windows. I turn up my collar and try to remind myself it's spring, but there's nothing warming in the thought. The city's got her makeup off and her hair down. Downbeat. I wander through the loop, walk through the deserted cavern of concrete that by day is LaSalle Street. Its tall gray buildings walling me in like giant tombstones. And just for a minute I feel like a kid in a graveyard. And like a kid, I reach for the lights spilling out through the big plate glass window. There they were, the ones who inhabit the caves by night. A night army of cleanup women, busy like so many beavers with their mops and waxers, polishing the brass, the elevator doors, the mailboxes, the stairs. I watch the one nearest to me, dipping the brush, sloshing the suds, and wiping them up. She was old, white-haired, and small, not much bigger than a child. She seemed tired. She stopped, and then she looked up and saw me. And she smiled. I winked at her. She took a deep breath like a sigh, and she turned back to her pail. But she never made it. Let me in! Hey, you in there! Let me in! The other little beaver saw her, sprawled across the pail, and rushed to her, blocking my vision. Then one woman stood up, terror on her face. It wasn't much of a story, just an item for the obits. Mrs. Martha Orloff, age 62, scrub woman, death by natural causes, heart failure. Natural? What's natural about killing yourself with a scrub brush? The police came and took the body away, and the little beavers went back to work, and in half an hour you wouldn't have known it had happened. Yeah, you stand in the presence of death and you come up with a 2-line obit. That's all it would have been if the other scrub woman hadn't stopped me on my way out of the building.
Oh, mister, please.
Yeah?
Please excuse, but somebody should tell him.
Who?
Mrs. Orloff's boy.
Oh, the police will take care of that.
I don't think a right boy should learn his mother is dead through police. I would go myself, but they're very strict here. I would lose job.
Okay. What's his name?
I don't know. She just called him my boy.
All right, I'll find him.
Mister, please.
Now, what's the matter?
I don't know what to do with her stuff.
What stuff?
In her bags, in the locker.
Oh, okay, let me see it. Mrs. Orloff shared a locker with 3 other women. The police had taken her purse, but her cardboard treasure chest and her coat they left behind. I opened the box. In it was a crushed corsage she'd picked up off some littered corridor, and a picture postcard that had caught her fancy, the Eiffel Tower in the sunlight. And a pair of latex knee pads. They had been issued to her, but she never used them. Even DuPont can't change the habits of a lifetime of drudgery. I left the cardboard box in the locker, but I took a coat. It was a shabby coat, but it was clean. In one pocket was a sack containing a sandwich, 2 slices of black bread with a little mayonnaise in between. In the other pocket, a pair of white gloves mended in the fingers and a door key pinned to the lining of the pocket with a safety pin. It's a funny thing. 4 million people in the town. They work to death, play to death, drink to death, and you rub shoulders with them every day. But you only meet a handful. I don't know why I felt drawn to Martha Orloff. Maybe it was because I was the last person she smiled at. I went over to her flat. She lived in Polish Town in a little walk-up tenement, the 2nd floor back. It was very late. In deference to the fire laws, a 20-watt bulb burned uncertainly in the hall. A heavy smell of cabbage and cooking grease lingered in the air. I knocked again and louder. If anybody was inside, they should have heard me. I didn't want to wake up the whole building, so I unpinned the key from her pocket. I opened the door, and I flicked on the light. It was Mother Hubbard's cupboard. It was bleak to the bone. 2 rooms with a kitchenette curtained off with faded cretonne. A little canned milk, a little black bread, 1 boiled potato, no rug on the floor. 1 cot with a lumpy mattress, and 1 poor withered geranium trying to live without light. But no sign of any sun, nothing in the place belonging to man or boy. But in the sideboard drawer there was something interesting. A package of money order receipts crisscrossed with rubber bands. Hundreds of them, all for the same amount, $2, and issued about a week apart, and all made out to the polio fund. And with the receipts, a personal letter from one of Chicago's richest women thanking Martha Orloff for her charity. An old lady scrubs floors, and every 2 weeks, every week, $2 go to the polio fund. Why? Well, the answer was right in front of me. All I had to do was look up. On the wall, a picture of a sickly, spindly boy about 12 years old, with braces on both legs.
Look, you no good bum. I told you don't come... Oh. I thought you are Stanley. What you doing here?
Who are you?
Never mind who I am. I'm janitor. What you doing in Mrs. Orloff's flat?
I'm looking for a son.
Stanley?
Well, if that's his name, that's who I'm looking for.
Ah. You from the police?
I'm a newspaper man, Randy Stone. I came to tell him that his mother died tonight.
She died?
Yes. This his picture?
Yeah, that's Stanley. Died. I'm not surprised. She worked to death all the time. Scrub. What for? I tell her a million times, what for you work, Martha? Let that big hunk son take care of you. But no, he big lazy bum. Too good for work.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about the same kid?
Oh, that picture take 10, 12 years ago. The old cured now. He walked good like me, twice as strong as me.
Well, that's fine. I'm glad to hear it. Well, would you notify him that his mother is dead?
Me? I don't tell that no good nothing.
All right, okay. I'll tell him. Now, where do I find him?
I don't know nothing about Stanley Orloff. I don't want to know nothing. It's just as good. Maybe she did. Just as good. All right, mister, you go now.
Without another word, he walked me down the stairs, ushered me out, and closed the front door, leaving me out there with a cold and some puzzled reactions. I stood in the recess of the doorway and tried to make up my mind. Should I forget about Stanley Orloff or not? The police would reach him somehow or other. They'd tell him. But then I'd never fill in the sketchy picture I had of a kid in braces and a scrub woman buying a money order every week for the polio fund. Yes, an old lady dies in front of you, and she's no longer a stranger. You've got an obligation, so you find her, son, and you tell him. But where do you look? Yes, the letter in the sideboard drawer for Mrs. Genevieve Hall. The polio fund should know where Stanley Orloff was. I went back up. This time I was quieter. I opened the sideboard drawer, got the letter. Only when I went to shut it, it stuck. I tried to force it. The kid's picture fell to the floor. I stooped to pick it up just as the door opened.
What are you doing with Stanley's picture?
What's that? A girl stood in the doorway. She was tall, high cheekbones, and a broad forehead. Anybody else wearing a Beacon bathrobe would have looked lumpy and misshapen, but not her. This is a very active place tonight.
You're the man from the newspaper, aren't you?
Yeah, Randy Stone.
I have to talk to you, but be quiet. Papa'd be mad. He thinks I'm in bed. What'd he tell you about Stanley? Did he tell you Stanley was no good?
That's a pretty good summation.
Everybody says he's a bum. Well, if he is, it's her fault.
Her?
His mother. I'm glad she's dead. Always waiting on him, babying him. Picking him up when he fell down. Why, he could walk a long time before she knew he could. And then when she found it out, you know what she told him? Stand on your own feet now, she said, and be a man. As if Stan Orloff wasn't more man than anybody on this block.
Haven't you got your little drama miscast? Seems to me the heavy in the piece is a bug by the name of poliomyelitis.
I don't know what that means. Probably smart talk, meaning you don't like Stanley like the rest of them.
Oh, but you do.
You bet I do. Stan could have been anything in the world. He's that smart. Just because he don't take any old job that's handed him, they say he's a bum. Because he wants to be something. To get out of this hole and live like a human being, they say he's no good.
Oh, but it's all right for his mother to break her back to support him, huh?
I don't like you.
Well, miss, you're just going to have to get in line.
I thought you were here to help Stanley, or I wouldn't have come up to talk to you.
Look, I don't know Stanley Orloff. I don't know his mother, unless watching somebody die constitutes an introduction. I came to give him a message, that's all. Now, if you'll tell me where to find him, I'd appreciate it.
I'm sorry. I guess I didn't mean that about his mother. It's just I get so mad. And I guess because I miss him.
Where does he live?
I don't know. He'd never tell me. Moved out of here 2 months ago. But he ran around with a fella for a while. I didn't like him. We had a fight about it. This fella runs the Ace High Club, but it's not a club. It's a pool hall. Maybe you could find Stan there.
What's the fella's name?
Brannigan. Ace Brannigan.
Thank you.
Oh, if you do find him...
You want me to tell him that a certain tall, black-eyed girl is still around, is that it?
I guess I was wrong. I guess I do like you.
Olga! Olga, you upstairs?
It's Papa!
You come right down here!
She ran out of the flat like a frightened rabbit. I started to leave before I got thrown out. When I noticed that Mrs. Orloff's coat had fallen to the floor from the chair where I'd put it, it didn't seem right in a flat as frugally neat not to hang it up. I opened the closet door, and I suddenly felt guilty. Guilty for having eaten a square meal, and guilty for having a pair of $12 shoes. In the closet was one dress, and one pair of shoes half-soled, an all-black straw hat with a pink flower on it, a pair of slippers with one toe out, and a bathrobe, and a clean flannel nightgown that had been mended so much it looked quilted. The wardrobe of Martha Orloff. I closed the door. I picked the kid's picture up and I started to hang it back on the wall, and then I saw it. A bank book pasted to the back of the picture with a Scotch tape. A bank book belonging to Martha Orloff with a balance of $50,006. Martha Orloff, miser. Yes, my little obit that had been growing so nicely into a human interest yarn had fallen flat into a cliche. How do you figure it? A scrub woman in Polish town with a bank balance of $50,006. But there were some angles that didn't fit. Like that glorifying letter from Mrs. Genevieve Hall praising her generosity. And those piddling little weekly donations to the polio fund. I thought how ironic it was that I was sitting in a mansion on Lakeshore Drive waiting to discuss Martha Orloff. If Chicago had an aristocracy, Mrs. Hall would have been at least a duchess. She was strictly first family. Her father built an industrial empire on the lake shore when Mrs. O'Leary's cow was still a calf.
Mr. Stone, I tried to be friendly with the press, but was it necessary to waken me in the middle of the night?
I thought so.
Well, young man, get on with it. I'm no girl, you know, to be lollygagging in the parlor all night. What is it you want?
Mrs. Martha Orloff died tonight.
Orloff? Oh. So?
You wrote her this letter. She was one of your regular contributors, sent $2 every week.
Oh, of course, that dear little Polish woman. You say she died?
Yes, of heart failure. Tell me, what did you know about her?
Well, what do you mean, Mr. Stone? She was a generous, hard-working woman.
And her son?
He was stricken with infantile paralysis about 10 years ago. He had a slow recovery, and the fund took care of him, like so many others.
And those $2 donations?
Well, that should be clear even to a journalist. She wanted to pay us back naturally for what we'd done for him. She dedicated her life to it. We didn't want to take her money, but we couldn't refuse. I happen to know she went hungry many times, but she never failed to send the $2.
Well, did she? I mean, did she go hungry?
Why, of course she did.
You're sure?
What are you trying to do? Take a simple act of charity and twist it into
Oh, no, please, relax, Mrs. Hall. I'm only trying to understand why Mrs. Orloff left a bank account of $50,000.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Well, see for yourself. Here's the bank.
Young man, I've been around a few years, and I know human nature. You can show me 20 bank books, and I still won't believe it. If she had any money, she would have given it to us. Why, last year when the polio fund fell short of its quota, she took it as a personal disaster. And you know what she did about it? Instead of resting her tired old heart on her days off, she baked pies and sold them in her neighborhood. She made $25 that way, and she gave every cent of it to the fund. Now, have you any more questions?
Yes, Mrs. Hall. Do you take contributions from the working press? The night was almost gone, but I couldn't quit. I had to have the full portrait of Martha Orloff. And my story, my $50,000 story, and the elusive threads that would tie it up into a column of linotype. I went into a little all-night beanery and had a bite to eat. And while I was waiting for the coffee, I dug out the bank book again. $50,006. A lot of deposits. How did she do it? Now, wait a minute. There were a lot of deposits, all right, but it didn't add up. The book was practically full. There were pages of deposits, and there were just about as many withdrawals. At one time, her account got up to $50, and then she drew it down to $6. She left it that way for a long time, 11 months. And then these 3 big deposits within the last month, $25,000, $10,000, $15,000. Maybe Stanley Orloff had the answer to that one. The Ace High Club was sandwiched between a Polish theater and a second-hand store off Division Street, and militarily speaking, off limits. Business wasn't very brisk. One lone pool player was shooting a lethargic game. On the other table, a bull-necked individual was rolling dice. And against the wall, in a tilted chair, a mildewed club member was dozing under his hat. And over them all, a green glow hung like mold. One dice player looked up.
What's on your mind, John?
I'm looking for guys.
Yeah? Yeah. Lots of people looking for guys.
What's your point?
4. Cop?
A newspaper man. I'm looking for Stanley Orloff.
Never heard of him.
I was told I could find him here.
No dice. I gotta get that cushion fixed.
Yeah, do that. He looked at me in a cold, dead way. He was lying. That was obvious. It was also obvious that the interview was over. The drowsy individual was sitting up now, very alert. The pool player had transferred his interest from the game to me. And since I prefer to make an exit under my own steam, I walked out. But it didn't matter, because now I had an angle on the bank book. The money was hot. Stan Orloff was hot, and he was hiding out. And Mrs. Orloff had stashed the dough for him, protecting him even to that. All I needed to wrap up the story was a record of 3 stick-ups corresponding in amount and date to the 3 deposits. I grabbed a cab for the police station, It was a dull night in robbery detail. Sergeant Doyle was happy to break the monotony by dragging out his record.
Olson, Upstein, Otteson. No, Randy, no Orloff.
Well, how about suspicion of robbery? You ever bring him in for questioning?
No.
I don't get it. There's got to be an Orloff.
What do you want, facts or fiction?
Let me see those unsolved robberies again.
Look, Randy, if you're using this information to criticize the police force...
Oh, Doyle, relax. Did I ever say anything against the boys in blue? Okay, then, now, the month of May.
Here's the heist. Mink coat, some jewelry.
What was the value?
No. This stuff was recovered. Here's one. A chain store for $600.
Not enough.
Here's a gas station knocked over for $150 in the till. Never got a line.
No. 3 stick-ups, big ones.
You want a big one? All right, here's a big one. $50,000.
Now, that's too big. Now, what about 25, 15, 10?
What do you want me to do, make change? What's wrong with $50,000 in one piece? What are you working on, anyway?
Hey, wait a minute.
Huh?
Yeah. Maybe it isn't 3. Maybe it is 1. Where was it?
What?
The big stick-up.
That was a candy store.
Candy store? $50,000?
That's right. And I don't mind telling you, that's one robbery I'd feel very happy if we never solved.
Well, that's a twist. How come?
Candy store. A guy by the name of Berg runs it, but it's a front. He's a bookie. We know he's a bookie, but we can't get anything on him. So a guy comes along and sticks him up for $50,000, and Berg comes yelling to the cops. Said it was his life savings.
Was there a suspect?
Yeah, but we couldn't hold him. Insufficient evidence.
Because you couldn't find the dough.
Yeah, that's right.
And his name was Stanley Orloff.
You're a stubborn guy, Randy. There's no Orloff on the record. Huh?
Oh.
Well, that's all.
All right, thank you, Sarge. Oh, say, what was his name?
Well, who?
The suspect on the candy store heist.
Well, let me see. Brannigan. Yeah, that was his name. Ace Brannigan.
Well, thank you. The meeting of the Ace High Club was still in session. The 3 members were just as I left them. Good evening, Mr. Brannigan.
Well, so now you know my name. That's real polite.
I'll be brief. Are you sure you don't know where Stanley Orloff is?
You're making me out a liar. Look, I told you before, I don't know him.
Well, all right. If you should get acquainted with him, will you give him a message for me?
Yeah? Like what?
Would you tell him that his mother died tonight? I went back to Mrs. Orloff's flat. I let myself in quietly and waited in the dark. All the threads were there now. If my hunch was right, all I had to do was wait and the story would tie itself up. Pretty soon I heard what I was waiting for. Footsteps. One dragging a little, like a limp. I couldn't see them. I was in the kitchen, but I heard them. And the man with the limp walked across the room to the sideboard.
Ace, it's gone.
What do you mean it's gone?
The bank book. I have it right here, stuck on the back of the picture.
What are you trying, Orloff? A fast one?
Well, why should I do a thing like that?
I don't know. Maybe you think the use of your old lady's bank account is worth more than 10% of $50,000. Or maybe because you're going to inherit all that dough, you got ideas that belongs to you.
Oh, I wouldn't do a thing like that, honest, Ace.
Yeah. Then it's your old lady. She got wise to the whole setup.
But how could she? She didn't know the account was still open. I told her I took her last $6 months ago. Well, that book's got to be around here someplace.
And find it.
Is this what you boys are looking for?
Huh? Oh, it's you again. Still looking for a guy?
I found him.
Give me that bank book.
It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to Stanley now. An interesting angle. An old lady dies and her son inherits the proceeds of a stick-up.
Yeah, and it's all legal. Now, give me that book.
I think I'll keep it. Police might find it interesting. They might jump to the same conclusions I have.
That dough's mine, and I'm going to have it.
Well, sure it's yours, but you're going to have a tough time getting it. You'll have to go to the cops and tell them how you got it and how come it's in somebody else's bank account.
Are you going to hand it over, or do I take it the hard way?
I didn't have any rebuttal for the gun he turned on me. I handed him the book as the door opened.
Olga, here you come back.
It was the janitor. He didn't see Ace and the kid. They'd stepped back into the shadows. He held a piece of paper out.
I'll just say you friend for Mrs. Orloff. Maybe you take care of this paper, huh?
Sure, I'll take it. What is it?
I keep it for her because I'm on ground floor. She's always afraid there'll be fire. It gets burned. And Stanley, what you do here? You not satisfied you kill your mother?
All right, Grandpa, you said your piece, Flo.
Oh, you are.
Oh, this is terrific.
Look, what's so funny?
Here, read it, Ace. The last will and testament of Martha Orloff.
Huh?
She leaves all her worldly goods, everything, to her favorite charity, the Polio Fund. And that means along with her other dress and her pair of shoes, the bank book.
What does it mean?
It means, Stanley, boy, that you can't touch this dough, either one it.
But it's...
Yes, it's legal. You bet it's legal. As legal as an English barrister. Ace's face went white. He wasn't very bright, but he was bright enough to know that I had him by the tail feathers.
What are we going to do, Ace?
Do? Who's gonna know about the will?
But they know, and... Oh, no. No, Ace, I don't want any part of that. I don't want...
Shut up. All right, Snooper, you open it. And watch your step.
Ace moved against the wall, his gun concealed, but he had a perfect beat on me. I opened the door, and there was the prettiest sight I've ever seen. Two big, ugly cops, and one of them was Sergeant Doyle.
Randy, you finally got me into the act. Which one of these guys is Orloff?
Oh, that's him, over there.
Thanks. Stanley Orloff?
Yeah?
I'm sorry, but we got bad news for you. Your mother died tonight. Her body's at the county morgue.
Well, it's 5 a.m. It's milk time. I should go home, but I haven't finished my column. There's one item left to write. What makes it tough, I've got a choice. One way I write it might make the front page. Bookie, hoodlums, swindle. The other way, it only amounts to an obit. Oh, but what an obit. I was tempted to tell the cops about the 50 grand, but, well, they'd only give it back to the bookie, and then nobody wins. Yeah, it's dough thrown down a muddy track. The suckers don't know it, but all their little $2 on the nose and $2 to place and show is really going to buy something. Yeah, I got a full portrait of Martha Orloff now, framed in gold. $50,000 worth. Martha Orloff, patron of Polio Foundation, leaves fortune. Copy, boy.
You are listening to Night Beat. Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis and edited by Larry Marcus. Listen next week at this same time and every week as Randy Stone searches through the city for the strange stories waiting for him in the darkness.
This I believe. The validity of a viewpoint is usually a matter of perspective, of seeing things in their proper dimensions. James Q. DuPont was trained at MIT as an electrical engineer. He sharpened his focus on life as a professional photographer for 7 years in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. His long experience with the DuPont Company, for which he works, has familiarized him with such varied material mysteries as the manufacture of cellophane, nylon for a pair of ladies' stockings, and certain aspects of the atomic bomb. During one phase of the Manhattan Project, he was assigned to the huge atomic plant at Hanford, Washington, where sensitive men of science had to turn their talents to the awful task of perfecting destruction. What truths could a man hold to? Jim DuPont, who speaks of his beliefs now, had to answer that question for himself.
Ever since one midnight in 1909, when I first heard my mother crying, I have been groping for beliefs to help me through the rough going and confusions of life. My dad's voice was low and troubled as he tried to comfort Mother, and in their anguish they both forgot the nearness of my bedroom, and so I overheard them. I was only 7 then, and while their problem of that time has long since been solved and forgotten, the big discovery I made that night is still right with me. Life is not all hearts and flowers. Indeed, it's hard and cruel for most of us, much of the time. We all have troubles. They just differ in nature, that's all. And that leads me to my first belief. I believe the human race is very, very tough, almost impossible to discourage. If it wasn't, then why do we have such words as laugh and sing and music and dance in the language of all mankind since the beginning of recorded time? This belief makes me downright proud to be a human being. Next, I believe there is good and evil in all of us. Thomas Mann comes close to expressing what I'm trying to say to you with his carefully worded sentence about the frightfully radical duality between the brain and the beast in man, in all of us. This belief helps me because so long as I remember that there are certain forces of evil ever present in me, and never forget that there is also a divine spark of goodness in me too, then I find the score of my bad mistakes at the end of each day is greatly reduced. Forewarned of evil, in other words, is half the battle against it. I believe in trying to be charitable, in trying to understand and forgive people, especially in trying to forgive very keen or brilliant people. A man may be a genius, you know, but he can still do things that practically break your heart. I believe most, if not all, of our very finest thoughts and many of our finest deeds must be kept to ourselves alone, at least until after we die. This used to confuse me, but now I realize that by their very nature, these finest things we do and then cannot talk about are a sort of, secret preview of a better life to come. I believe there is no escape from the rule of life that we must do many, many little things to accomplish even just one big thing. This gives me patience when I need it most. And then I believe in having the courage to be yourself. Or perhaps I should say to be honest with myself. Sometimes this is practically impossible, but I'm sure I should always try. Finally, and most important to me, I do believe in God. I'm sure there is a very wise and wonderful being who designed, constructed, and operates this existence as we mortals know it. This universe with its galaxies and spiral nebulae, its stars and moons and planets and beautiful women, its trees and pearls and deep green moss, and its hopes and prayers for peace.
You have heard the creed of James Q. DuPont, a member of the DuPont Company and a citizen of Wilmington, Delaware, who respects the worlds of both science and religion and bridges their contradictions with knowledge, understanding, and faith.
The National Broadcasting Company presents Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective.
E-A-O-E. E-A-O-E-A.
Oh, swell. Hold everything. I'll be right there. Okay. Just let me get a robe on. Coming. Yes. Yes, there's nothing like stepping out of a nice warm shower into a nice hot murder. The only thing in sight was the body of a man lying on his face. I didn't have to get any closer to see that he was very dead. Then I heard someone running down the front steps and out to the street, so, still being the kind of guy who's always interested in seeing what a killer looks like, I went down the stairs and out into the street. I landed on the sidewalk just as the sedan pulled away from the curb and dove into a hole in the traffic. I only had time to see that there were two people in it.
Didn't even get a chance at the license. Well, a white terry cloth robe can be a little conspicuous at 11 o'clock in the morning on East 51st Street, right off Madison. So I shuffled back up the stairs, put in a call for Lieutenant Walter Levinson, 5th Precinct, homicide. But it seems as if I was a little late. A neighbor on the way down the hall had stumbled on the dead one in front of my doorway. Now, generally, a body in front of my door would be left alone to sober up. But this one seemed to be bleeding, so just as a precaution, the neighbor had called the police. All I could do was just stand around and wait for them.
Wouldn't you know it, Otis? Wouldn't you know it? Finally got to be right in his own building.
Yeah, Lieutenant, and she said it was right in front of his own door.
That's around this corner. What'd you say the name of the woman was who turned in the alarm?
Myrtle Tibbles, the apartment next to his.
That's right, Otis, and she's a big snoop.
Huh?
I heard that.
What's that?
Myrtle Tibbles.
Now listen, Rick.
If you've got any questions, officer.
Ask me no questions, I'll tell you
Oh,
no.
shut up. Otis, go question her.
Me?
Yes, you. Go ahead.
I know plenty. I can tell you about that Mr. Diamond there.
Lady, I know everything you're going to say, and a lot more.
Oh? Then come in, Captain.
Hey, did you hear that, Lieutenant?
Get in there, Sergeant, and question the big lady.
Yes, sir.
Snoop, eh?
Well, Rick?
What kind of a bit is that?
I suppose you're going to tell me you had nothing to do with this killing.
Walt, I was in taking a shower when this gentleman decided to get himself shot in front of my door. I was singing, too. Would you like to hear what I was...
No, thanks. Hey, wait a minute. If you were in taking a shower, how did you know he was getting himself shot?
He rang the doorbell first.
Oh, sure. He wanted to let you know there was going to be a murder.
Listen, Blubbermouth, I was taking a shower. I stopped taking a shower. The doorbell rang. I went to the door. I opened the door. Dead man. I ran down into the street after the killers.
What about the shots?
I didn't hear any. Must have used a silencer.
Well, you say you ran after the killers. Was there more than one?
2. I don't know who pulled the real trigger, but I chased 2 people down into the street.
Did you recognize them?
No, they didn't leave any calling cards.
Descriptions?
Man and woman.
Now, that's helpful. License number?
Too fast. Got lost in traffic.
In other words, all you noticed about them was a little less than nothing. I'm surprised you didn't forget and leave your head hanging in the shower. Yeah.
Oh, now, by George, Lieutenant, that was a real dandy, that was.
Oh, cut it out, Rick. Come on, let's take a look at the corpse.
Well, have you forgotten? You just sent it in to question Myrtle Tibbles.
Not Otis, I mean this one.
You better be specific. I've known a lot of coroners to get pretty confused when Otis was covering a homicide.
Some kind of a messenger.
Yeah. Band on his cap says Speed Messenger Service.
Here's his receipt book. Only one entry. Richard Diamond, Apartment E, 53 East 51st Street. Nothing else.
Would you want any more? I'm honored.
Now, what the devil could he have been delivering?
The reason he got shot, probably.
Huh?
Yeah, Myrtle. Lieutenant.
Yes, Sergeant.
Go ahead and ask him, Otis.
Oh, no.
Yeah, young love.
Myrtle, Miss Tibbles wants to know if it's all right if I stay for lunch.
Why, I think that would be real nice, Sergeant. How long do you think it will take?
How long, Myrtle? Not long.
Well, that's fine. But before you sit down and start feeding that fat face of yours, what would you suggest we do about this body in the hall?
Well, I'll tell you, Lieutenant.
Otis!
Yeah, Lieutenant.
Get out here.
Coming, Lieutenant. Thanks anyway, Myrtle. Well, where to, Lieutenant?
Oh. How about the Speed Messenger Service?
Right. Just as soon as the coroner and the boys get here and take over. You want to come along, Rick?
Well, sure. The dead man was trying to deliver something to me. I'd like to know what was important enough to get him shot.
Sure, let's get going.
Diamond, don't you think you ought to change that robe?
Walt.
Yeah, I know, but what are you going to do?
Oh, gee, I only made a suggestion. You don't have to get sore.
Oh, we're not, Sergeant.
He can wear the robe for all I care. I only...
Well, thank you, Sergeant.
I don't give a darn if he looks silly.
Otis.
Just because I make a suggestion.
Sergeant.
Yeah?
Will you do me a favor?
Well, sure, Lieutenant.
Shut up!
So while Walt tore Otis to pieces, I did a quick change. And when the coroner arrived, we climbed aboard the squad car and headed for the main office of Speed Messenger Service. While Walt was getting the address from headquarters on the car radio, Otis sneaked on the siren. So in less than 10 minutes, we pulled up in front of the building at 31st and West End Avenue and barged in.
You on duty here, miss?
Yeah. Trouble?
What makes you think there's trouble?
When a cop car pulls up in front and you two jump in here like a couple of bill collectors, it figures. Trouble, see?
A woman's intuition. Wonderful, simply wonderful. Tell me, dear, did your service send a messenger over to 53 East 51st Street, apartment E?
About an hour ago. Why?
What was he supposed to deliver?
I don't know. I don't remember that good, see?
Oh, well, try.
I don't get this. What's wrong anyway?
Well, dearie, your messenger ain't anymore.
Yeah, shot to death.
What?
Now try to remember what it was that...
Hey, sit down.
Well, let her get Cartwright, Walt. Maybe he can tell us something.
Yes? Now, what in the world?
Mr. Cartwright, Johnny, he's dead.
Dead?
Those are police officers, see? They said he was shot to death.
No, just be calm. Let me get this straight.
But I told you, see, it's Johnny.
All right. Now go in the back. Get a drink of water or something.
Yes, sir, but I just can't believe that it's...
I am Mr. Cartwright, gentlemen.
Well, that's nice. Are you in charge here?
I am the manager. Now, what is this about one of our messengers being dead?
That's right. You any idea what he was delivering to 53 East 51st this morning?
Well, why, no, but it should be in our record book. You'll have to forgive Miss Ogilvy. She gets very emotional.
Does she?
Well, let's see the record book.
Oh, it's right here. Here you are. Now, let's see. There. It was the first delivery this morning, as you can see. 53...
We'd like to know just what he was delivering.
Oh, well, I really couldn't say. I don't even remember what the item looked like.
Well, who sent it?
Yes, that I can help you with. Here it is. Last name Clark, first name Paddy. In other words, a man named Paddy Clark.
No.
Yes, odd first name, isn't it?
Mean anything to you, Rick?
No, something. It's a little vague. Name seems familiar, that's all. How about you?
I don't get a thing from it. Any return address?
No, just his name with instructions to deliver it to a Mr. Diamond at this address.
Well, don't you remember whether it was a package or a crate of bananas?
Yeah, we got so many things in here to be sent out.
Lieutenant.
Yes, Otis, what do you want?
201 over on East 48. Thought you might like to know.
You better take off, Walt. 201's your department.
Fine. 2 homicides in one morning.
I'll finish checking here and go over to my office. You can get in touch with me there.
Okay. Come on, Otis, let's go.
Lieutenant.
Yeah, you can use the siren.
My, you officers certainly are busy, aren't you?
Yes, we officers sure are. Now, how'd you like to trot out that girl again? Maybe she's calmed down a bit.
Oh, certainly. Feel any better, Miss Ogilvy?
Oh, yes, sir, much better.
This gentleman would like to ask you a few more questions.
Oh, the good-looking one? Oh, sure.
If you're through with me, officer, I have some...
You go right ahead. Go on. We'll get along all right alone. Won't be beautiful.
Honest, dearie, I can't help you a bit. I don't know nothing.
Oh, sure you do. Weren't you here when this Paddy Clark came in?
Honest, I don't remember, but... Gee, you got the most...
But you do remember what the messenger was supposed to deliver, don't you? Hmm?
Well, what was in it, I don't. It was just a thick envelope, white with... Listen, honey, I'd like
Anything
to...
unusual about the envelope?
I wish I could remember for you, but I really can't. We deliver so many things every day, but let's talk about something else.
Well, after all, there was no reason in the world why she should remember one particular envelope, so... Making like a good cop for Walt's sake, I scribbled down her name and address. Then headed for my office at the corner of 51st and Broadway. I stopped in the lobby for my morning supply of cigarettes and was about to step in the elevator when a big fat hunch, that's right, hunch, grabbed me by the arm and turned me back into the direction of the tobacco shop. That's the place I've been stopping at every morning for the last 6 years. And it was run by a little guy with a twitch in his right eye. A little twitch and a last name Clark. And the first name, Paddy.
Back for something else, Mr. Diamond?
Yeah, Max. Where's Paddy?
Oh, he called up the other day and says he was going out of town for a couple of days or so.
Oh, is that it? I've missed him the last couple of mornings.
Well, you know, he got 3 stands to look after.
Yeah, that's right. Say, tell me, where's Paddy live?
You want to see him?
Mm-hmm. Got a little business deal I want to talk over with him.
Oh, sure. You know Paddy. Anything to make a buck. Here's his address. Read it?
Oh, fine, yeah. You got a phone?
Yeah. It's Skylar 49970. There.
Thanks, Max. One of these days I may even buy a cigar from you. Funny how things like that can happen sometimes. The name of Paddy Clark had seemed familiar, but I couldn't place it. Only because I'd been doing business with him every day for 6 years and didn't think to look that close. I grabbed the elevator, went upstairs to my office, and put in a call to Mr. Clark. Patty?
Who wants him?
Oh, no.
Rick.
Hello, Walter. What's new?
You know perfectly well what's new. What do you think I'm doing over here?
Well, now, let me guess. Riddle homicide?
You know that's why I come over here in the... Now, wait a minute.
Yes, Lieutenant.
How did you get this phone number?
Patty Clark dead?
The deadest. Now, how'd you get the number?
I, looked in the book.
It's not in the book. It's a hall phone listed under the apartment name.
I asked my Ouija board.
How?
Okay, Groucho. Patty Clark owns a cigar store in my building.
Well, why under the sun didn't you tell me that in the first place? You said you didn't know him.
I said the name was vaguely familiar.
All right.
How was Patty killed?
Shot. Coroner's on his way. Look, I'm not far from your office. I'll be over as soon as he gets here.
I'll have a candle in the window. Bye. The happy people.
Something wrong?
Oh, no. Come in. Just filling my lighter.
Okay, Agnes is alone.
Hello, Mr. Diamond.
Well. And in came Agnes. And this was the type of girl easily recognized. About 5'5", with more curves than the World Series. And the one thing that really set her apart from the rest, a great big .38, complete with silencer. Her boyfriend took out a cute little .45 and leaned against the door, while Aggie swayed over to my desk like a mull cobra.
All right, Diamond. Let's have the envelope.
Honey, could you point that thing the other way? My skin is beginning to crawl out of my shirt.
I want the envelope, Diamond. And if you refuse to give it to me, I really wouldn't mind killing you.
You know, I think I'd like to give it to you if I knew what you were talking about.
I hope we're not going to have to play games, Diamond.
Well, something like post office might not be so bad.
Drill him, Aggie, and we'll search the place. He's got to have it somewhere.
I'll handle this. I want the white envelope Patty Clark sent you this morning.
And I thought you, too, got it after you killed the messenger boy.
Now, I don't know what you're talking about.
Seems to me I chased you into the street. Saw you climb into a car and take off.
The guy in the white robe.
So if you two knocked off the messenger boy, you must know I don't have the envelope. Too bad, but I didn't even get to the door until after you'd shot him.
We didn't shoot the messenger.
What was in the envelope?
You know what was in it. Go on, Aggie. Show him we ain't kidding.
Oh, shut up. We didn't shoot the messenger, Diamond, but we are going to get the envelope. Where is it?
Hey, that siren's pulling up out in front.
Why didn't you search the messenger? You had a gun. You didn't have to worry about me if I showed at the door.
Well, we got an envelope off him, all right. Empty. Hey, what are you doing, Paul?
Taking a look out in the street. Hey.
Police.
Prowl car. Two guys coming in this building.
Some of your friends, Diamond?
You say the envelope was empty?
What if they are some of his friends? What if they found Patty?
I told you to shut up.
Why'd you kill Patty? You knew he'd already sent the envelope.
Knock him off, Agnes.
Quiet.
Hey, somebody getting out of the elevator.
You keep your face shut, Diamond. Paul, get over behind the door.
What are you going to do?
Diamond, you stay right there at the desk. Say one wrong thing, and you and a couple of more get dead.
My.
Hello, Rick. I got over here just...
Good night, Lieutenant.
Good night?
Good night.
Oh, what you mean is good afternoon. Ooh.
Believe me, Walt, I meant good night.
NBC is bringing you Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Yes, dear sweet little Agnes had slipped out from behind the door and let Walt have it right behind the ear. He went down like a 16-pound shot in an elevator shaft. Then Aggie and her playmate started backing off. They opened the door, and Aggie, darling, pointed the business end of the silencer about halfway up my hand-painted tie. Whether or not she would have shot is anybody's guess. But along about that time, a very dear old friend stepped up behind her.
Drop it, lady.
The other cop.
You can drop yours too, Sonny.
Oh, Otis, bless your little pointed head.
You fool. Why didn't you look first?
Well, I forgot.
Forgot?
Okay, over against the wall. Keep the hands up high. Hey, how's the lieutenant?
Oh, he'll come around. Walt. Oh, Walty.
Which one let him have it?
Agnes.
The dame?
The other one's named Paul. Come on, Walt. Oh, come on, Walt. It's spring again. You know, birds and bees and all that sort of rot. That's a good boy. Now, try and sit up.
Oh, my head. What happened?
What happened?
Oh, no. Walt, you've been crowned queen of the 5th Precinct.
Who did it?
No. Don't look at Otis. He's been reading his Tom Swift, Rived in the Nick. Look, there.
Huh? Them?
Them. And Otis saved the day.
What did he do? Wander in without his collar and scare them to death?
Agnes, she's the one with the sweater. Agnes crowned you.
Look, where did these two figure, huh?
Oh, there the pair ran out of the building after the messenger was killed.
Put the cuffs on them, Otis.
Yes, sir. Okay, you put out your right and you put out your left.
And I'll be in Sing Sing before you.
And I'll be in to get him.
Now bring him over here.
Go on, ladies.
Okay. Keep your hands to yourself.
Here's the artillery, Lieutenant. 38 special with a silencer. This 45 auto.
Silencer, that's enough to book him in itself. All right. You kill the messenger?
No.
How about Patty Clark?
We don't know who you mean.
They know.
That's your story. Well, we'll take him down and book him. Happy now, Rick?
No. I want to know who has the envelope and what's in it.
Envelope?
Yeah. The girl at the messenger service finally remembered. Come on, let's take these two down to headquarters.
Well, they're still not talking. Did you find anything in the files?
Both have records. Guy's Paul Barrows, Agnes is his wife. One conviction apiece, May 1938, suspicion of passing counterfeit money.
Uh-huh.
Convicted, did time, parole. Oh, you got a fresh address on him?
They've been living in Flatbush. Otis went over with some of the boys to check.
Good.
And here's some fancy news. Just yesterday, the FBI started watching all of Patty's cigar stores as possible fences for phony money.
Yeah? Well, then it ties. Come on, I want to take a look at Patty Clark's room.
Patty was lying right there beside a couple of bags he'd packed for the trip.
Oh?
4 slugs in the chest, no struggle.
Anybody in the building hear the shots?
No, and the 38 your little girlfriend had wore a silencer, remember?
When did the coroner say Patty was shot?
About 6 this morning. What's that?
Oh, a little address book. Patty must have used the speed messenger service more than once. Look, see here? Here's the address and phone number. Now, Walt, let's go over and take a look at Agnes and Paul Barrow's place in Flatbush. See what Otis has found out.
Oh, hi, Lieutenant. Hello, Detective.
Well, thanks, Otis. You drop your watch?
Turn up anything?
No, nothing much.
What do you mean by nothing much?
Well, nothing.
That's what I was afraid of.
Hey, is there an address book around here anywhere?
Over by the phone. Why?
Just getting my jollies, Otis. Love to look at new numbers.
Now, see if Speed Messenger Service is listed.
Yeah? Yeah, right here on the back page. Walt.
Yeah?
Patty was killed at 6 this morning, huh?
Right.
6 this morning. You know, I wonder when he gave the messenger service that envelope. You know, the one addressed to me?
Well, the place wouldn't have been open at 6 this morning, so it must have been sometime yesterday.
That's right. And back in his room, his bags were all packed. Well, I think he wanted to make sure he'd be out of town before I got that envelope.
I'm way ahead. Hello, Henderson? Levinson. Find any plane or train reservations for Patty Clark?
Well, if you didn't, I'll show you where I keep that bottle of lighter
Yes.
fluid in my office.
Does that include me too, Diamond?
There's only one bottle, Otis.
Rick, Patty had tickets for a plane to California and then a boat to the Philippines.
Well, I'll lay you even money that Agnes and that Paul character didn't knock off the messenger or Patty Clark.
What?
All they wanted was that envelope.
Envelope?
That's why they came after me, and Patty didn't have it.
No? Then who has?
Otis, stop sneaking up. Now, Rick, what about the counterfeiting angle?
Otis, go over and check on the speed messenger service. See if anybody could have pilfered that envelope and put another in its place or something. And be sure to call me.
Why don't we do that?
On account of we're going back to the precinct and talk to Agnes Barrows.
Waiting outside.
Good.
And here's something you like. Ballistics says the 38 your Aggie was carrying is not the gun that killed Patty Clark or the messenger.
Swell.
Okay, show them in.
Hello, Aggie, darling.
I'm sorry I didn't shoot a hole in your head.
Isn't she a doll?
What do you want out of us? We ain't got nothing to say.
We'll see. Now, we know that Patty Clark was fencing counterfeit money for you two.
Now, ain't that peachy?
Walt, get the phone.
Yeah. Hello?
Lieutenant, I'm down to Speed Messenger Service.
Well, congratulations, Otis. We thought you'd get lost.
Walt, let me talk to him.
Sure.
Otis?
Yeah?
Mr. Cartwright there where I can talk to him?
He's right here.
He isn't?
Yeah. No. He's right here.
Well, if Cartwright isn't there, put the girl on.
Cartwright is here. He's standing right next to me.
She isn't?
She? No, he. Cartwright say he. Can't you get anything straight?
They've skipped?
Huh?
Whole place cleaned out?
No, there's plenty of people. Oh, now, wait.
Hold the phone a second. They've skipped, Walt. I'll pull out a general.
Skipped? Why, those dirty...
Oh, shut up.
Didn't you hear? Didn't you hear what he said? They skipped.
How do you know? You're going to take his word?
Henderson, put out a general on Cartwright and his girlfriend.
That dirty, no-good, double-crossing Cartwright.
Look, kiddies, that guy's framed you two from the very first. Why don't you talk? The state will make it easier for you.
Agnes?
I don't know.
Sure, tell him. We've been getting the runaround ever since he got us in this deal.
Hello?
Okay. Okay.
Hold it, Otis.
But,
I said hold it.
Go on, Agnes.
Well, I don't know whether Cartwright killed him or not, but Paul and me sure didn't.
What about that envelope that Patty Clark sent to me? What was in it?
Counterfeit dough. Some of the stuff we made with Cartwright.
Why send it to me?
Oh, because Patty got sore at Cartwright and wanted to blow the racket wide open.
He was crazy to send it through the speed messenger service.
Sure he was.
Yeah, I think I get it now. When Cartwright found it out, he killed the messenger and had you two there just to make it look like you'd done it.
Sure, the lousy.
Otis.
Hey, listen, how long can a guy hold
Otis. You want to be a hero?
Huh?
How close is Cartwright standing to you at this minute?
He's about a foot away.
Well, just reach out and slap the cuffs on him.
Really?
Yeah, and something else, Otis.
What?
You may use the siren all the way home.
Oh, Rick, it's nice to have you here with your face in one piece.
Yeah, lucky, ain't I?
That's pretty. Why don't you sing it?
Well,
Oh, no.
Let me get it. It's got to be Walt. Yeah?
Rick, I just wanted to let you know that Cartwright was behind the whole setup. Printed the stuff right down the basement of the speed messenger service. Rick?
Harold Abernacher speaking. Owner of the largest hog ranch outside of Little Rock.
You don't say.
Sure, Dad. What's the matter? You need an ear horn or something?
Rick, so help me if you don't stop this.
Our name's Harold, Bud. Harold. That's it. That's my name. Now, you just hang on and let you mash your molars with the missus.
I don't want to mash my molars with a missus. I want to
She talks louder than I do. Used to call the hogs herself, you know. Lula Bell?
Lula Bell.
Howdy. Having trouble with your hearing, huh?
Now, Helen, listen.
Calling me Harold? No, friend. My name's Lulu Bell. Maybe you got the same trouble like my Uncle Zeke. Used to stick a plug of tobacco in his ear overnight and always forgot it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we thought he was plumb deaf till I started calling the hogs and it shook the tobacco loose. Now, you just relax and I'll unplug you.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Word for Uncle Zeke. Hold on to your teeth. Find any loose tobacco? He hung up.
Give me the phone. Good old Walt. I'll drive him out of his mind.
5th Precinct, Lieutenant Levinson.
What?
Oh, no. Now, you listen to
Well,
me.
don't get loud with me, Grouchy. I just called up to find out what happened on the case.
Huh? Now, look, I just
Well,
told
if you don't want to tell me, okay, be a sorehead.
I'm not going through that apple knocker routine again.
What are you talking about?
Lula Bell called Otis all the way in from a stakeout in Flatbush.
Look, I don't know what you're talking about. If you don't want to keep me in on the nose, just forget it.
Gosh,
What's the matter now?
maybe I did have the wrong number. What a bunch of idiots.
Okay, so you had the wrong number. What about the case?
Oh, yeah. Well, it seems that Cartwright was really the one behind the whole setup. Killed Patty Clark.
We've got to stay with the happy people. Have your fun, live in the land of joy. Stay with the happy people. Face the sun, life is a Christmas toy. Down through the endless ages, tears have been contagious. And take it from me that misery is looking around for company. So stay with the happy people. Don't wrinkle your brow, it's strictly out of style. Just stay with the people who love to wear a smile.
Helen, is Walt still talking?
Wait a minute, Oscar. Yeah, he's still talking.
Well, might as well sing another chorus.
We've got to stay with the happy people. Have your fun, live in the land of joy. Stay with the happy people. Face the sun, life is a Christmas toy. Down through the endless ages, tears have been contagious. And take it from me that misery is looking around for company. So stay with happy people. Don't wrinkle your brow, it's strictly out of style. Just stay with people who love to wear a smile.
Right, Dad. Otis says there must have been more than 100,000 in phony bills. We got the plates and everything.
You don't say.
Yeah, that just about ties it up.
Well, Walt, I'm sure glad to have heard all that. Oh, wait a minute. Someone wants to say hello to you.
Oh, yeah?
Walt?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
You have just heard Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell. Lieutenant Levinson was played by Ed Begley. Also in the cast were Virginia Del Valle, Wilms Herbert, Lucille Meredith, Michael Ann Barrett, Carlton Young, and Frank Gerstle. Music was under the direction of Frank Worth. Tonight's show was written by Blake Edwards, and the entire production was under the direction of Jack Johnstone. Dick Powell currently may be seen in the motion picture version of the best-selling novel, Mrs. Mike. There's more thrill-packed listening for you throughout the week when NBC presents other great adventure mystery dramas. Night Beat and Dangerous Assignment are two action-filled shows you'll want to make a steady date with every Monday night over most of these NBC stations. Yes, on Monday, travel the Night Beat of the Chicago Star with newsman Randy Stone. There's poignant adventure as Randy searches the city at night for an unusual and intriguing story. Also on Monday, join Brian Donlevy in Dangerous Assignment. As Steve Mitchell, soldier of fortune, Donlevy journeys to the corners of the earth in search of adventure, fortune, and fair play. Yes, now on Monday, hear two great adventure mystery programs, Night Beat and Dangerous Assignment, on NBC. This is Eddie King inviting you to be with us next Wednesday at this same time, when we will again bring you Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, Private Detective. Screen Guild Theater stars Ginger Rogers tomorrow night on NBC.
This I believe. In this day and age, we may be pardoned, surely, if now and then we get the shakes over the prospect of science rising up like some mechanical monster to devour us. It's reassuring on such occasions to be able to hear the beliefs of a man like James R. Killian, Jr., president of one of our most celebrated schools of science, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
In my judgment, the central aim of education and of life is to wed knowledge with wisdom, to enable men both to do and to do what is good. As I grow older, my conviction deepens that knowledge without virtue is sterile and dangerous, and that many of the world's ills stem from the divorcement of these two goals. Nazi Germany was a terrible example of this divorcement. The knowledge and power of the German people were put to evil use by men without ethical standards. My conviction also deepens that the understanding of good and evil, the attainment of wisdom by individuals and societies, is impossible without a lofty sense of the meaning of life, and that this lofty sense is achieved only through combining an understanding of nature with an appreciation of what men call God. I believe also that there are many ways of appreciating and understanding God, and that each individual must find his own way. He may, as I do, seek this way along the path of Protestant Christianity. He may adhere to the creed of an organized church, or he may develop his own private approach. The important thing is, through religious experience, to build a faith in a divine power beyond oneself. Not only do I think this faith is important to an individual, I believe it is also fundamental to the health of any organized society. I've been much impressed by Toynbee's theory that religion is a cement which holds civilization together. My own personal belief is that the quality and the goodness of our civilization rest upon Christian ethics. And if we fail to maintain these ethics as a vital and living part of our community life, we will have lost the essential binding element of our civilization. The faith of scientists that a body of unalterable natural law governs the universe, and that it is discoverable step by step, is profoundly reassuring in this period of doubt and pessimism. This faith, coupled with my strong feeling that man can steer a course for himself, gives me an abiding confidence in the capacity of the human race to advance and to create a better life. I do feel, however, that the development of the whole man and the good life rests upon a working partnership between the materialism of science and the spiritualism of religion. As science has extended its sway over new areas of thought, we have tended to circumscribe and subordinate humanism and the knowledge of good and evil. In our education, throughout the whole system, I'm afraid, we have frequently become so preoccupied with vocational and professional training that we have lost sight of the importance of training a man to make a life as well as a living. I have faith that we can effect a combination of science and spirit, which will contribute toward the effectiveness of each, and that by so doing, we can achieve a bifocal vision, which enables us to see life steady and see it whole.
You have heard the personal credo of President James R. Killian, Jr. of MIT, a distinguished young educator whose balanced faith embraces hope for a stable world.
Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Mr. District Attorney is brought to you by two famous Bristol-Myers products, Vitalis and Sal Hepatica. Vitalis for hair that's well-groomed. Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Vitalis, Sal Hepatica.
And it shall be my duty as District Attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens.
The case of the deadly train. Our story opens tonight in the station master's office of a Chicago railroad terminal, just off the main waiting room.
I think you know the members of my party, Mr. Billings. This is Miss Miller, my secretary.
Mr. Billings?
How do you do? And this is my chief special investigator, Mr. Harrington.
How are you, Mr. Harrington?
And this is Tom Niles. Mr. Billings is the conductor of the train we're taking back home, Niles.
Go ahead, Niles. You can talk in here.
Look, can't we get going? I mean, isn't it time to get on the train?
He's handcuffed to you, Mr. Harrington? Yeah, that's right. Just a precaution, conductor. This is one trip we're going to be sure to make, huh, Chief?
I've told Mr. Billings the importance we attach to getting Niles back home with us, Harrington. I might say again, while we're all here, however, that we'll stop at nothing to make sure of it.
I read in the papers how important he is. Going to identify that killer for you in your trial, isn't that it?
Yes, Niles has agreed to make the identification. Unfortunately, the newspapers have also printed the fact that he's the only witness I have against Johnny Galena. That sort of publicity isn't helpful at all.
The Journal gave it the front page this morning, Chief. Did you see it, Harrington?
Yeah, I'll say I did. They hit it right on the nose, too. Said the district attorney considered Niles so important, he came out here personally to extradite him.
Hey, look, can't we...
Yeah, okay, Niles, calm down. Calm down. There's nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about. Are you crazy? Johnny Galena's got friends, ain't he? You think they're going to let me identify him if they can stop me?
Oh, they'll do nothing, Niles. You're in my protection now, and I'll keep my promise to you. Is the train ready, Mr. Billings?
I've got everything arranged.
Sure, you keep your promise. They let me out of jail here to go back with you, sure, and all I get out of it is to be a target. Don't you see,
You better get going, Harrington.
Yeah, right, Chief. Come on, Niles, and remember, when we go out that door, don't look to the right or the left, see? Just follow the conductor here.
I'll take them directly to drawing room B. Is that right?
Fine. You have your ticket, Miss Miller?
Right, Chief. Bedroom H. I'll get on last, the way you said.
Follow me, Mr. Harrington.
Let's go, Niles.
I'll check with you later, Harrington, as soon as I get to my own bedroom.
Passengers holding tickets.
Just remember, CA, you're responsible for me.
Niles, I assure you, you won't be out of my mind for a moment. Not until I've got you safely on the stand against Galena. All right, Harrington, go on.
Right. Let's go.
You wait a few minutes, Miss Miller, and then board with the crowd outside. All right?
Yeah, I know what to do, Chief.
Good. I'll find you when I need you. In the meantime, don't recognize me on the train. It's better if we're not seen together.
Chief,
Yes?
you're worried about this trip, aren't you?
Frankly, Miss Miller, I am. Niles is my only witness in a trial that means... Well, you know what it means.
Sure, Chief.
I've got to get that man there to testify. Yes, and in condition to testify, too. So let's hope for the best.
Well?
They're on the train, all right. The DA's assistant has Niles in drawing room B.
Harrington?
Is that the name on the orders?
Yeah. There's pictures in the folder.
Never mind, Elsie. It's him, all right. Niles was handcuffed to him. They're in B, right in this car.
The DA's with him?
He's in bedroom alone. This car, too. The boy sure worked that all right. We're right between them.
Oh. Johnny's got money, you know. Why shouldn't he get things worked right?
He will. Getting me to pull this job for him was the smartest thing he ever did.
Getting us, Ben. I come in on that fee. Don't forget.
Don't you always come in on what I do, baby?
Oh, sure. Like that washed-out blonde in the lobby last night.
Huh? Oh, I was just a kid, Elsie. Forget it.
Forget it?
Sure.
You leave me sitting in that lousy hotel room for 2 solid hours, and when I come down...
Okay. Forget it, will you? We got work to do.
One of these days, so help me...
Will you shut up? You've been harping about that dame all day.
Well, why not? If I hadn't come down for that movie magazine when I did, you'd probably be with her yet. Just a kid.
Will you pipe down? We got plans to make.
Sure. You want the ticket stubs?
Huh?
The guy collected while you were out.
No, keep them. I got plans to make, I said.
Let's have it.
Now, look. The way I figure it,
Well?
You stop glaring at me. How can I work with you shooting out your face all the time?
All right, go on. What's the plan?
All right. Well, they're all three on this car, see? Harrington, Niles, and the DA himself.
Yeah.
The best thing is to get over with it fast, Elsie. That way we can get off at Toledo, be back in Chicago before they know what hit them.
Back to the blonde, I suppose.
Will you listen, Elsie, and get this straight? I got a job to do now, a big job. For Johnny Galena, too, the biggest guy in the racket.
I know that.
So I don't fool around, get it? Now, you shut up and listen to your orders, baby. Because this is one show I'm going to run right.
Excuse me, may I get through, please?
Yes, certainly. Oh, here, I'll open the door for you.
Is everything all right, Chief?
So far, so good, Miss Miller. The conductor's collected all the tickets in our car, and he reports everything seems in order.
Harrington's in the drawing room?
With Niles, yes. I'm going to relieve him while he gets some dinner. In the meantime, I think you might circulate a little. See if anyone strikes you as out of the ordinary.
I will, Chief. I was just going into the ladies' dressing room when I saw you in the aisle.
Yes, I see. You might try the club car later on, too. You know what to do.
Right.
I'll wait here a moment until you're out of sight. If you need me, I'll be in the drawing room with Harrington.
All right, Chief. If I can't get back to you without being seen, I'll send a note by the porter.
All right, that's fine. And be careful, Miss Miller. Be just as careful as you can.
Pardon me. Are you using this dressing table?
Oh, go right ahead.
Thank you.
I was just going to see if I can do anything with my makeup. Honestly, the way your face can get dirty.
Isn't it something? You going all the way through, are you?
That's right, dearie. Say, you don't happen to have an extra cleansing tissue, do you?
Why, yes. Yes, I do. It's right here in my bag.
Oh, thanks.
There you are.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. The train swerved and I must have knocked your purse on the floor.
Well, don't worry. I'll get it.
Let me.
I'll get it, I said. Let my purse alone.
But I was only...
Never mind. You can have the makeup table if you want it. I'm finished.
I'm sorry about your purse. Surely you don't think I would...
Keep it. So long, dearie. Thanks for the tissue.
Yes, you're quite welcome. Oh, Porter. Oh, down here, please, and hurry.
Here's a seat, young lady. Right here.
Oh, thanks. You sure it ain't taken?
Not if you wanted it, ain't? Best seat in the club car, too. Gives you a view of where you just been.
It's exciting, ain't it?
That's Indiana. Nothing exciting about that.
Oh, I don't know. Ever been in Gary?
We just passed through it, little girl. Hey, can I buy you a drink?
After a while, maybe. Ooh, I got such a head from last night. I don't think I can look at one.
Gary, huh? You in business in Gary?
I'm in business wherever I hang my hat, mister.
Yeah? What kind of business?
Why don't you guess?
Well, let me see. Could be a model, you know. Got the looks for it.
Thanks.
But you're not.
I guess you'd call me a booster.
Huh?
Always sticking up for the hometown. That's one definition, ain't it?
There are others, you know. Like shoplifting.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Want to trade handles, kid? Mine's Ben. Ben Mott.
Hi. Smith. Edith Smith.
I bet.
Girl's got to be careful, Ben. She can't go around spilling her name, can she?
She can if she's out from the wall.
Maybe she ain't.
Ever been nailed, Edie?
By the cops? Yeah, in Denver.
Yeah? Where in Denver?
In the shed. Railroad station to you.
I know the lingo, Edie. What was the rap? Boosting?
I was doing the hook for the troop. It was a go-back deal, and I end up with the bad man.
You know the lingo yourself. St. Paul, you said?
What are you doing, kidding me, Ben? Nobody but a lamster gives St. Paul a play. This was Denver. The fix was in, so here I am.
You know, Edie...
Yeah?
You're okay. Really okay.
Oh, sure. I'm in great shape, I am.
What's the matter, you broke?
I said the fix was in, didn't I? What do you think happened to my fall, though?
You, got any plans, Edie?
Oh, the big city. I thought maybe if I spend my last buck on a train like this, I could line up a mark.
Who for? Traveling with somebody?
No, I'm alone. I just thought I'd get in a new troop faster if I arrived with a sucker all set.
Yeah, you would at that. You're smart, Edie.
You don't sound so dumb yourself, Ben. Hey, I'll take that drink now.
Sure thing. I'll ring the... Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we can go back to my compartment and have a real drink.
You got a view of Indiana back there?
I got a plan, Edie. I think maybe you're just the kid would go for it, too.
How's the score?
20. Matter of fact, this is a business trip. Big business.
Oh?
I got a partner already, but, you know how it is. The way my business runs, I need new blood.
You know, Ben?
Yeah?
I got plenty of blood. Let's go back to your trap and, have that drink.
I won't won't be long, Chief. It's early. The diner shouldn't be crowded.
It's all right. Take your time, Harrington. I'll stay here with Niles until you get back.
What about me? When do I get to eat?
I don't think it would be wise to take you into the diner, Niles. We'll have something brought back here later on.
Yeah, I'll take care of it, Chief.
Right.
Say, is Miss Miller in her bedroom?
She's checking the train. Oh, and it'll be safer all around. All right, take your time.
Safer all around. And you do think somebody might...
Now, take it easy, Niles. Take it easy. Nothing's going to happen to you.
I'm scared, I tell you. I was a fool to tell the warden I'd do it.
Now, relax, I said. There's nothing to worry about.
Sure, that's easy for you to say. I'm the guy they want to shut up.
They won't. I've told you the trial in which you're going to testify means just about everything to me. And so help me, I'm going to see that you do.
They sent her in to get some food.
She? Oh, I see.
Do you?
What's the matter, Ben? She cramp your style?
You wouldn't. Would you, Edie?
What do you think? What's the job, Ben?
Not so fast, lady. Let's see who you know first.
Well, let's see. Did you ever hear of Swede Larson out of Cincinnati?
Point out man, yeah.
Kugler?
Runs a cannon mob in shack.
Well?
How about a big boy, Edie? Say, like Johnny Galena.
He's standing a rap, ain't he?
Won't be a rap if Tom Miles doesn't identify him at the trial, you know.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
What would you say if I told you Niles is on this train?
And that's the job, Tom Niles?
Maybe.
You must be big yourself, Ben, doing a job for Johnny Galena.
I'm big enough to take care of you, Edie. The two of us. For a long, long time.
Ben, Why, you louse.
Elsie, I thought you were in the diner.
Yeah, I bet you did. Well, that ties it. It's her.
Look,
Why,
Elsie,
you poor fool. That's the dame I was telling you about.
Huh?
She's the one gave my purse the once-over in the ladies' room.
What?
Why, that's true, but
I told you you'd make a false move, Ben. Now you've blown it for good.
Sit down, Elsie. Let's straighten this out.
Yeah? You think I'm nuts? She's probably got the train swarming with cops. I'm getting out of here.
Sit down, I said.
And stay for the rap? What kind of a fool do you think I am?
Now, wait a minute. There's been a mistake.
I'll say there's been a mistake, dearie. Him. I should have pulled out long ago.
I warn you, Elsie. Sit down.
Let go of me, you Italian bum! I'm going to see to it that you get yours once and for all.
Elsie, put that gun down.
I knew she had a gun in that bag.
That's right, dearie. Now, here's where you get off the joyride, Ben, and right into the arms of the law.
Look, honey, calm down a minute.
A minute, my back is turned.
You know that ain't true, Elsie. I've always come back to you, haven't I?
Yeah, you've always come back, but that's not good enough.
Look, Elsie, this dame don't mean a thing to me, and she's not hooked up with a cop. She's a booster out of Denver.
That's right, Elsie. I'm not after your guy.
You keep out of this.
Elsie, look at me, baby. I love you, honey. You know that, don't you? Don't you?
Oh, Ben, if I could only believe you.
You know me, baby. Why, I'm all for you. Always have been. Come on. Come on. Let me have that heat.
Oh, Ben, if you'd only play square with me. I get all riled up like this and I don't know what I'm doing.
That's my girl. Now let me have the gun, Elsie.
Here, take it.
That's right, Elsie. Thanks.
You see, Ben,
Oh, don't.
Don't. I haven't even started on her. Pull a gun on me, will you?
Ben, no.
Well, let me have it, won't you, Elsie? Huh? And with a rod, too. Nice and noisy, so the whole train could hear.
I didn't mean it, Ben. It was just my temper.
Yeah, well, I do mean it, kid. I'm through with that loud mouth of yours once and for all.
Ben, no. Look out, Elsie. He's got a
You
knife.
keep out of this. Come on, Elsie. Here's where we say goodbye.
Ben! You killed her.
It's like we said, Edie. New blood for old. Now, come on. Let's you and me straighten this out.
Yes, but...
You've got questions to answer, little girl. And while you're talking, just keep your eyes on this knife.
We'll see what your district attorney makes of this in just a moment. But first, A definition of an optimist.
An optimist is a man who takes the worst of it and makes the best of it.
Now, a man is certainly getting the worst of it when he wakes up in the morning feeling sick and headachy due to the need of a laxative.
But if he's an optimist, he makes the best of it.
Yes, chances are he reaches for his sal hepatica. For you see, a sparkling glass of sal hepatica when you get up brings quick, gentle relief, usually within an hour. That means you don't have to risk feeling miserable all day waiting until night to take a laxative.
And that's not all. In addition to quick, gentle relief, sal hepatica brings you another important advantage. This famous saline helps sweeten an upset stomach by helping to reduce excess gastric acidity.
So, friends, be sure that you, too, keep a bottle of sal hepatica handy. Remembering this caution, use only as directed. Noon or night, see how much faster you feel better thanks to gentle, speedy sal hepatica. Now back to Mr. District Attorney.
I'll take another look through the train, Mr. District Attorney, if you think that'll help.
Well, yes, I wish you would, Mr. Billings. I can't understand where she is.
I told you something would happen. I knew it.
Pipe down, Niles. Hey, Chief, you sure Miss Miller ain't in her bedroom?
I'm positive.
Suppose I have that look at the other cars. Will you be here?
Well, no, I think I'll go back to my bedroom, Mr. Billings. You'll find me there.
She'll turn up, I'm sure. One thing, she can't get off the train.
Yeah, Chief, I don't like this at all. You ain't seen her since she started back for the club car?
Before dinner.
Did you hear the conductor? He said she couldn't get off the train.
Well, she couldn't. It must be doing 70 through here.
She could get pushed off, couldn't she?
That'll be enough of that, Niles.
I'm scared, I tell you. You promised to take care of me.
Shut up, Niles. Shut up. You're all right.
Oh, I'll go back to my bedroom, Harrington. I don't like to stay in here with you too long.
Yeah, right, Chief.
We'll see what the conductor's search reveals. If he doesn't find Miss Miller,
yeah,
then we will, Harrington. I promise you we will. Yes, come in. Oh, come in, Mr. Billings.
She's not in sight, Mr. District Attorney. I covered the whole train.
I see.
But this turned up.
Yes?
Seems a young lady gave the porter a note for you before dinner.
Miss Miller?
I think so, sir.
Yes?
Here, it's written on the back of a ticket stub.
Let me see it.
The porter had been warned about this car, you see. I told him myself to be careful.
See. You say she gave him this note before dinner?
He held it, sir. He was afraid to deliver anything without checking
I've
with
got to
me.
get out of here, conductor. Which way is compartment G?
To your left, 4 down.
Wait for me. I may need your help. Excuse me, will you please? May I get through?
Take it easy, Bud. Just let me get out of your way.
I'm sorry, but I'm in a hurry.
You sure are.
Thank you. Excuse me, please. I've got to get through.
I tell you, you can't stop people like Johnny Galena. He'll do anything.
Oh, look, Niles, you've been whining ever since we left Chicago. Will you shut up?
Take off my handcuffs, Harrington. Chained to you this way, I haven't got a chance.
Look, for the last time, my job is to protect you, do you understand? These cuffs stay, kid. You and me, real cozy like.
I'm scared.
Yeah, you said that. If I were you, I'd...
Hey! Look, we're...
Hey! It's a wreck! Hang on, Niles! Hang on!
Let go! Let go! We're turning! Car's turning over!
Look out! Look out! Hold it, Niles! Look out for the window!
Harrington.
Hey, Niles. Niles, are you all right?
I'm pinned, Harrington. I can't move.
This beam, it's on my chest.
Can't move, I tell you, Harrington.
Shut up. There's no need to get in a panic.
Get me out of here. Get me out.
I can't move either, I tell you. If you ain't hurt, just shut up.
Hey, listen.
Hey, they're coming in for us already. Do you hear them? They must be using the axe.
Yeah, we're all right. Just get this beam off it.
You in there, Niles? I'm pinned. I can't move.
Just keep coming. I can see the light where you broke the side. Keep coming.
You, Harrington?
Yeah. Keep coming.
Through the side, see? Through the side of the car.
Don't worry. I'll get this.
Just take it easy.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Who are you?
You'll find out, Harrington. So you're pinned, are you, Niles? Harrington.
Don't get panicky, Niles. Wait till I reach for my gun.
Just stay where you are, Niles. I'll take care of you. Harrington, it's Ben Mott. He's going to kill me. I remember him from Chicago.
I can't reach my gun. Oh, this beam, if I could only push this beam off me.
Harrington, you said you'd protect me. There you are. Just a minute now, and I'll be there. Harrington, look, he's got a knife.
Hey, drop that knife. Drop it, do you hear me?
Sure, I've got it covered. Right in your little pal here. No, Mark, don't. So you thought you'd find that on Johnny Galena.
Harrington. I warned you.
I'll do nothing, Copper. You just lie there till I finish with him. No, Ben, please, Ben. One more push, Niles, and they got you, you dirty rat. Harrington, help me!
I can't.
Wheel on Johnny, would you? Here's where you go. Harrington.
Oh, Chief.
You all right in there? I can't see over this body.
Yeah, you got him, Chief. It's okay now.
Just lie quietly, Harrington. We'll be through to you in a minute.
Right. Hey, Niles.
Niles, are you all right? I'm all right. He's dead. All right, men. Let's cut away this beam.
Chief, that was close.
Get some water, Miss Miller.
Right.
There's a doctor out on the tracks.
Well, I'm okay, Chief.
There's no one dead or hurt, Chief. This is the only car that went over. The train hit an empty truck on the road.
Oh, good. Miss Miller, where does she...
Well, it's quite a story, Harrington. But first, let's get you and Niles outside. We've got a trip to finish, you know. All right, men, let's go.
Your district attorney will return in just a moment to explain his rescue of Harrington and Niles. But first, here's a young lady who seems to be very happy indeed.
Hallelujah, my guy's come back.
Well, glad to hear he's back, young lady. And you know, in lots of other ways, too, life is getting settled again. For instance, Vitalis is back. Yes, back on drug counters everywhere.
Vitalis? What's Vitalis?
Vitalis is for keeping dry, unruly hair under control.
It is? Well, then I guess that guy of mine must be using Vitalis. His hair is always well-groomed.
Well-groomed in a natural masculine way?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Well-groomed, yet free from that patent leather shine?
Yes, sir.
That's Vitalis, all right. What's more, Vitalis and the 60-second workout stimulates circulation, prevents scalp dryness, routs embarrassing loose dandruff, helps retard excessive falling hair. And that's why we say to men, to look your best tomorrow, get a bottle of Vitalis tonight. Now, here is your district attorney.
Well, I want to say first, ladies and gentlemen, that Tom Niles went on the stand in my prosecution of Johnny Galena, and because of his testimony, we were able to secure another very important conviction in our war against crime.
Yeah, I still say that was close, Chief. If you hadn't been right behind Ben in that wreckage, he'd have killed Niles, sure.
Chief, I think you'd better explain just how you knew Ben was making his way through the wreck to Harrington and Niles.
But it was your note that did it, Miss Miller. The note the porter delayed delivering until just before the wreck. When you were in the ladies' dressing room with Elsie, that started the whole thing.
When her purse fell, Harrington, I noticed it was heavy. Too heavy for an ordinary lady's handbag.
Oh, she was carrying a gun, huh?
I'll say she was. Fortunately, when I picked up the bag, her compartment receipt fell out. I wrote the note to the chief on the back of it.
Yes, and as soon as I got the note, I went immediately to that compartment. As Miss Miller had written, the occupant seemed suspicious.
That's a mild word for Ben, Chief. After he tied me up, I thought I was done for.
Yeah, so you found Miss Miller in Ben's compartment, huh, Chief?
Yes, Harrington, and Elsie's body. Miss Miller told me Ben had started for you, and so I followed him. Fortunately, neither of us was hurt in the wreck. Ben managed to get out of the car first, but I wasn't far behind him.
Boy, am I glad you stayed on his tail. Oh, hey, Chief, what about next week?
Well, next week, ladies and gentlemen, our story concerns one of the most unusual and interesting criminals in our files. It's the case of the dangerous clown, and I invite you to join us for it. And until then, thank you, and good night.
The names of all characters in tonight's dramatization are fictitious, and any resemblance to names of living persons or actual places is purely coincidental. Our stars were Jay Justin in the title role, Len Doyle as Harrington, and Vicky Vola as Miss Miller. The music was under the direction of Peter Van Steeden, and the authors were Edward Byron and Robert Shaw. And remember, Vitalis for hair that's well groomed, Sal Hepatica for the smile of health. Vitalis and Sal Hepatica, two famous Bristol Myers products, which each week bring you Mr. District Attorney. Men, so often the girls say,
"What a man. If only he had that clean-shaven, masculine look."
But many men say their faces are too tender for close, clean shaving.
And girls say, "No alibis, please."
And I say no alibis necessary. Not when you rely on Ingram shaving cream. That rich Ingram lather helps condition your face for the razor. You get cool, soothing shaves in comfort. Remember, men, comfort means coolness. Coolness means Ingram. INGRAM. Ingram, the cooler shaving cream. Try Ingram yourself.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.